Chapter 1034. Zhou Wen, Wang Lu, and company headed for the imperial capital. Along the way, they encountered quite a number of breakout creatures. Unfortunately, their levels weren't too high. There was no need for him to do anything. Feng Qiuyan and Li Xian easily dispatched them. The last time Zhou Wen came to the imperial capital, he was nearly killed by Xia Zhihuang and the guardian in the log. He even fled Forbidden City in a sorry state and didn't even dare stay in the imperial capital for long before fleeing back. But it was different now. Ignoring demonic neonate and the Seven Seas Dragon King, just Ice Maiden, who was at the terror grade, made it difficult for the guardian in the log to touch him. After Ice Maiden was restrained by the Seven Seas Dragon King, Zhou Wen used Explosive Fiend Man's Death List to get Ice Maiden to sign her name. Although it wasn't easy for Death List to be effective against the Terrorgrade Ice Maiden, Zhou Wen wasn't worried that she would turn hostile and attack. It was because the Heaven Shrouding Bell had been taken away by the demonic infant. Previously, Zhou Wen had wanted to get the Heaven Shrouding Bell back, but to his surprise, he realized that the Heaven Shrouding Bell had been devoured by demonic neonate like the demonic sword, becoming a skill of demonic neonate. In other words, it had become a part of her, making it impossible to retrieve. As long as demonic neonate shook the Heaven Shrouding Bell, no matter how ferocious the Ice Maiden was, she would obediently surrender. There was no room for resistance. As for Grim Demon in the demonic sword, he had actually begun to evolve independently after devouring Bizarre God. Zhou Wen didn't know what changes would happen to his evolution. Logically speaking, when demonic neonate evolved, as a part of the demonic sword, Grim Demon should already possess the ability to transform into a terror form. Now that it had evolved alone, it was unknown what effects it would have. The Ice Maiden didn't want to be trapped in the Chaos Bead, so Zhou Wen didn't force her in. Since she couldn't escape, he decided to let her move freely. After arriving at the imperial capital again, Zhou Wen swaggered into the city with Wang Lu. He didn't deliberately hide his whereabouts. Director General, Zhou Wen. Zhou Wen has come to the imperial capital. Before Zhou Wen entered the imperial capital, the bureau had already obtained information. What is he doing in the imperial capital? Shin-Yuqi felt a headache coming on. In the past, he yearned for Zhou Wen to come to the imperial capital so that he could capture him. But now, ignoring the fact that capturing Zhou Wen was meaningless, even if it was meaningful, how many people in this world could capture him? Based on the information the Bureau currently had, even a guardian on the list might not be able to capture Zhou Wen. Furthermore, the Bureau didn't have such a person. Pay attention to his whereabouts, but don't follow him directly. Just use the surveillance equipment network on the streets of the imperial capital. If he wants to leave your line of sight, you don't have to look for him, Shin-Yuqi said after some thought. Before long, the inspector ran back and said with a strange expression, "Director General. He seems to be heading towards our bureau's headquarters. Are you sure he's coming to the bureau?" Shin-Yuqi frowned. "He has already passed Sky Street and is heading east. If he heads this way, the chances of him coming to our bureau are the highest," the inspector said. "East of Sky Street. From the looks of it, he really wants to come to the bureau. Is he coming alone? Is there anyone else with them?" Shin-Yuqi asked again. "He's also carrying a 2-year-old girl." Wang Lu, Feng Qiuyan, and Li Xian, who entered the imperial capital with him, went to the Wang family and didn't follow him, the inspector hurriedly said. Zhou Wen headed for Sky Pass. Sky Pass was a dimensional zone in the imperial capital, and it was also where the bureau's headquarters were located. As Sky Pass was protected by a powerful dimensional zone taboo, outsiders had no way of entering it alive. Even if the inspectors wanted to enter Sky Pass, they had to obtain permission from the higher-up. They couldn't enter freely, or they would be killed by the taboo power of Sky Pass. "Uncle, is Sky Pass up ahead?" Zhou Wen came to a fork and saw a middle-aged man passing by. He went over and asked, "You want to go to Sky Pass? Do you know where Sky Pass is?" The middle-aged man sized up Zhou in surprise. I heard that it's the Bureau's headquarters. I want to buy something there, Zhou answered. Buy something from the Bureau's headquarters? The middle-aged man was even more surprised. He looked at Zhou and asked, Do you know what the Bureau does? I'm not too sure. I just heard that there are quite a number of good things there. I want to buy some. Zhou asked again, Do you know which way to get to the Bureau? I'm about to go to the Bureau. If you want to go, let's go together, the middle-aged man said to Zhou with interest. Thank you, Zhou thanked him. You're welcome. It's just on the way. What do you want to buy at the Bureau? The middle-aged man was very curious. The Bureau's headquarters wasn't a good landlord. It was difficult to enter and even more difficult to leave. No one would go to such a place for no reason. If it wasn't necessary, the middle-aged man wouldn't go to the Bureau. I want to buy some space equipment, Zhou said. The middle-aged man was even more interested when he heard that. He said to Zhou, Are you interested in space exploration? I'm not too interested. I just want to travel to the sky, Zhou answered. Travel. When the middle-aged man heard that, he shook his head and said with a bitter smile, The current space technology hasn't developed to the point where we can casually travel to space. However, with the improvement of human physique, only astronauts who have undergone strict training can go to space in the past. Now, as long as one is at the legendary stage, it won't be too much of a problem even if they don't train. However, it would be a waste to expend so much manpower and resources just to travel. Are you an expert in this area? Zhou sized up the middle-aged man and asked. I can't be considered an expert. I can only be considered a businessman. My family's company specializes in the production of spacesuits for astronauts, the middle-aged man said. Spacesuit? Then does your company sell equipment like space capsules that can allow ordinary people to survive in space for a period of time? Zhou asked in surprise. No, that kind of thing involves too much technology. I can't do it. Our company's spacesuits are all right. If you are interested, you can visit our company later. It's best not to go to a place like the Bureau, the middle-aged man said. Uncle, how should I address you? Why are you going to the Bureau? Zhou sized up the middle-aged man and asked. As the middle-aged man walked, he roughly explained his situation. His name was Tang Zhizhong. Previously, the Bureau had always been cooperating with their company. The spacesuits they used were all custom-made products from their company. All these years, their spacesuits had never had any problems. Their research team had also been researching and developing better and more practical spacesuit. They could be said to be the top spacesuit manufacturer in the Federation. However, some time ago, the cooperation between the Bureau and them had been terminated. They had switched to using another company's products. Even the batch of spacesuits that they had previously ordered had been rejected for all sorts of reasons. Tang Zhizhong originally thought that there was a problem with his products, but after asking around, he realized that it wasn't the case. Chapter 1035. Another company seemed to have used their connections to obtain an order from the Bureau. Tang Zhizhong also found another company's spacesuits to do a comparison test and realized that their spacesuits were far inferior to his own. This made Tang Zhizhong very angry. Furthermore, if they didn't accept the batch of spacesuits that the Bureau had ordered, it would have a huge impact on Tang Zhizhong's company. It might even close down. There weren't many companies in the technology industry, and it was very difficult for them to survive. Tang Zhizhong had come this time because he hoped that the Bureau could follow the contract and accept the batch of spacesuit. It didn't matter even if they didn't cooperate in the future. Sigh, it's getting harder and harder to do technology companies these days. If I can survive this crisis, I'm prepared to close down. There's no future if I continue. Even if I don't close down this time, I will still close down in the future. Young people these days only want to enter dimensional zones to obtain companion beasts. No one's dream is to explore the universe, Tang Zhizhong said with a sigh. How long can your company's spacesuits last in space? Zhou Wen asked. That depends on the environment. There are many terrifying phenomena in space. Even wearing a spacesuit isn't of much use. Now, the main use is in places like the Moon and space station. If it's a relatively safe area on the Moon, as long as there's enough oxygen, food, and water to support it, typically speaking, there won't be any problems with the spacesuits I create for a year or two. As long as the life support system isn't destroyed, there's no need to worry about survival. When Tang Zhizhong mentioned the spacesuit, he immediately became extremely confident. Can I eat and drink while wearing a spacesuit? Zhou Wen asked Tang Zhizhong. At the same time, he thought to himself, going to the Moon seems like a good idea. I can use the chaos bead to bring enough oxygen, food, and water. It won't be difficult to last a month on it. Of course, our company has been constantly researching and improving spacesuit. Eating, drinking, and defecating can be done in the spacesuit. However, the premise is that there are enough supplies. The spacesuit's life support system can't carry that much. As the two of them spoke, they arrived outside SkyPass. How many spacesuits did the Bureau order from you? Zhou Wen asked. 110, Tang Zhizhong answered. Where are those spacesuits now? As Zhou Wen asked, he sent Wang Lu a message to get her to check on Tang Zhizhong's company. It's still in the warehouse. The Bureau has found all sorts of reasons to not accept it. I only hope that they accept the spacesuits now. I can even kneel and kowtow. There are so many employees in the company who are counting on the money from these spacesuits to pay their salaries, Tang Zhizhong said with a tearful expression. After receiving Wang Lu's message, Zhou Wen said to Tang Zhizhong, Uncle Tang, send that batch of spacesuits over. I guarantee that the Bureau will sign for it. Are you serious? Tang Zhizhong looked at Zhou Wen in disbelief. Zhou Wen was so young and it was obvious that he wasn't a local. It was hard for him to believe that Zhou Wen had such power. You should know very well that it's impossible for the Bureau to sign for your spacesuit. If you believe me, there's still a chance. If you don't believe me, there's no chance at all. Zhou Wen looked at the time on his phone. I'll wait for you for an hour. If you can send the spacesuits over, I guarantee that the Bureau will sign for your spacesuits and pay for them. The premise is that I have to see those spacesuits with my own eyes. May I ask who you are? Tang Zhizhong looked at Zhou Wen in surprise. Does it matter who I am? Time waits for no man. You only have 59 minutes left. Zhou Wen looked at the time again. Just you wait. I won't need an hour. I'll get someone to send it over in half an hour. Tang Zhizhong also knew that there was almost no chance of success if he wanted to ask the Bureau for money. He was also making a last-ditch effort. He was going all out. Tang Zhizhong made a call and contacted the company, getting them to send the spacesuits over as quickly as possible. Sky Pass, also known as the best pass in the world, was a very famous dimensional zone in the imperial capital. The reason this place was famous was that in the decades after Sky Pass became a dimensional zone, no one had ever been able to enter Sky Pass from the main entrance. Later, someone discovered a special method to bypass the main entrance and enter Sky Pass. And the person who discovered this method was the Bureau's Director General, Shen Yuqi. Therefore, this place later became the Bureau's headquarters. It wasn't famous because other than the Bureau's internal personnel, very few people could enter Sky Pass. Few people knew what was inside. Zhou Wen stood in front of Sky Pass and saw a majestic city gate. The city walls were 40 meters tall, and in the lofty signboard, there were 5 majestic words, Best Pass in the World. Typical city gates opened to both sides, but the city gates here didn't have two. They looked like they were one without any gap. Legend had it that this was a door that could never be breached. Back then, Sky Pass was too famous. Many experts hoped to be the first person to enter Sky Pass. Unfortunately, even if they attacked Sky Pass with mythical companion beasts, no one could break through the city gate. Up to now, Sky Pass's city gates hadn't opened once. Bro. No, young sir. Who are you related to from the Bureau? Can you really help us get the Bureau to sign for the spacesuits? Tang Zhizhong came to Zhou Wen's side after the call and asked nervously. Many people in the Bureau know me, including Director General Shin Yuqi, Zhou Wen said with a smile. Tang Zhizhong was delighted when he heard that. That's great. Our company is saved this time. Sir, how should I address you? What's your relationship with Director General Shin? Are you his relative? Tang Zhizhong still wanted to guess if Zhou Wen was Shin Yuqi's son. Otherwise, how could he get the Bureau to accept his space suit so easily? To his surprise, Zhou Wen said, Director General Shin and the people from the Bureau have wanted to capture me for a long time. My wanted poster should still be hanging on Director General Shin's wall. You? Are you joking? Tang Zhizhong was somewhat dumbfounded as he looked at Zhou Wen in a daze. However, Zhou Wen didn't answer. He stood in front of Sky Pass and looked at the guards on the city gate tower. Tang Zhizhong traced his gaze and saw that there were rows of inspectors standing on the city gate tower. All the guns in their hands were aimed at them. Zhou Wen, why are you here at the Bureau? The person in charge of the city gate tower spoke to Zhou Wen in a condescending manner. Tang Zhizhong recognized that person. He was one of the 4 censors under Shin Yuqi, Yu Guang. Even in a place like the imperial capital, he was a famous figure. Haven't you always wanted to capture me? I'm here to surrender myself. Zhou Wen extended his hands as though he was waiting to be handcuffed. Tang Zhizhong was already stunned. Even a fool could tell that Zhou Wen was really a wanted criminal of the Bureau. However, how could a wanted criminal take things too hard for him to surrender himself to the Bureau? Chapter 1036. Surrender. Countless question marks surfaced in Yu Guang's mind. As for Shin Yuqi and the upper echelons of the Bureau, who were watching all of this from the surveillance cameras, their expressions turned odd. At this point in time, only an idiot would believe Zhou Wen when he said that he wanted to surrender himself. If he really wanted to surrender, he should have done so long ago. Why would he wait until now? Director General, what should we do? Yu Guang whispered to Shin Yuqi through the communicator. Director General, we mustn't let Zhou Wen in. This must be a scheme of his to topple our Bureau, a director immediately reminded. That's right. That Zhou Wen can't enter Sky Pass, so he wants to use such a method to sneak in. He definitely wants to kill us. We can't let him in. Director General, Zhou Wen is Wang Mingyuan's disciple. We have to be wary of him. The upper echelons of the Bureau were surprisingly unanimous. They definitely couldn't let Zhou Wen in. Ordinary people might not know how terrifying Zhou Wen was, but what kind of place was the Bureau? It was where the Federation's eyes and ears were. They knew Zhou Wen better than anyone else. It could be said that Zhou Wen's file was one of the highest in the Federation. It was on par with Jing Daoxian, Wang Mingyuan, and a few others. Even the Federation's senators didn't have files as confidential as Zhou Wen's. They knew very well how terrifying Zhou Wen was. The information from the investigations was shocking. Anyone who read the information would no longer treat him as a college student who had yet to graduate unless their brains were damaged. Shin Yuqi was naturally the one who knew Zhou Wen the best in the Bureau, so he felt a headache coming on. Shin Yuqi naturally didn't believe a word about surrendering himself. However, would Zhou Wen leave so easily since he was already at the Bureau? Let's hold him down first and find out what he's up to. Shin Yuqi ordered Yu Guang. He knew that escaping was definitely not a solution. He had to think of a way to resolve the problem. Tang Zhizhong was at a loss and didn't know what to do. Zhou Wen was actually a wanted criminal of the Bureau. Furthermore, he was the kind that had a screw loose and wanted to surrender himself. Who didn't know that the Bureau was unreasonable? As long as one's brain wasn't damaged, they wouldn't come here to surrender. Even if they really felt guilty and chose to commit suicide to atone for their sins, they wouldn't come here to surrender. I'm doomed. I'm doomed. I actually believed a lunatic's words. I even got someone to send me a spacesuit. Isn't this just asking for trouble? Tang Zhizhong was already a little afraid. The Bureau was already determined to breach the contract. Now, if they found an excuse to arrest him and this lunatic, he would probably lose his life, much less his money. Just as Tang Zhizhong was feeling terrified, he heard Yu Guang speak from above the city gate. Tang Zhizhong was no stranger to Yu Guang. He was one of the 4 censors of the Bureau. Apart from the deceased Kai Jin, he was the most senior. Furthermore, Yu Guang was the head of the General Affairs Department. All sorts of matters in the Bureau had to go through him. The spacesuit matter also needed to go through Yu Guang. However, Yu Guang was only responsible for the final decision. There were still layers of officials below him. Tang Zhizhong had no chance to personally discuss this matter with Yu Guang. He had come a few times previously, hoping to meet Yu Guang to clarify the matter regarding the spacesuit. However, Yu Guang didn't see him at all. He only got Tang Zhizhong to discuss it with the officials below. Yu Guang also had a nickname, Cold-Faced Hades. From this nickname, one could tell what kind of person he usually was. I'm afraid there's a misunderstanding. Our bureau has never had a warrant for you. You aren't our criminal either. Yu Guang paused for a moment before continuing. I've heard a little about you. You're a good student with excellent character and studies. You're humble and sincere, and you've contributed a lot to our federation. What do you mean by turning yourself in? Tang Zhizhong listened to Yu Guang's words and looked at his kind face. He almost thought that he had recognized the wrong person. Is this really Cold-Faced Hades, Yu Guang? Tang Zhizhong sized up Yu Guang again and again to confirm that he hadn't seen the wrong person. It was indeed Cold-Faced Hades. There's no misunderstanding. I'm guilty. I feel bad and want to surrender to atone for my crimes, Zhouwen said with a serious expression. See that? This fellow is just looking for trouble. He wants to enter Sky Pass and kill us. We definitely can't let him in, a director shouted in the office. Yu Guang, figure out why he's here. Shin Yuqi frowned slightly, but he didn't panic. The world's best pass wasn't for nothing. No matter how strong Zhouwen was, it was impossible for him to forcefully barge into Sky Pass. It's over. It's over. It's not easy for Cold-Faced Hades to show his kindness and say something sensible. This punk actually wants to court death. Tang Zhizhong's expression was ashen. He felt that Yu Guang definitely wouldn't let him off once Zhouwen said that. He would arrest him first before deciding whether he was guilty or not. However, to his surprise, Yu Guang's expression turned even friendlier. His smile turned even friendlier. The Bureau isn't a law enforcement agency. If you really want to surrender, you should go to the police station. However, I know your character. You're a promising youth, a future pillar of the Federation. You're not the kind of person who commits crimes. Are you in some kind of trouble? If you have any difficulties, tell our Bureau. The Bureau is a department of the Federation. We have the obligation to resolve the problems of the Federation's citizens. Tang Zhizhong was in a daze when he heard that, feeling as though he was dreaming. The Bureau isn't a law enforcement agency? It has the obligation to resolve the problems of the Federation's citizens? Is this still the Bureau I know? Is this still the Cold-Faced Hades I know, Yu Guang? Tang Zhizhong suddenly realized that the young man in front of him might not be a lunatic. Just as Yu Guang was trying his best to persuade him, trucks drove over from afar. It was the people from Tang Zhizhong's company who had transported the spacesuits over. The speed of the trucks was very fast. Soon, a row of trucks stopped not far from Tang Zhizhong. A middle-aged man jumped out of the car impatiently. As he ran towards Tang Zhizhong, he asked loudly, "Old Tang, what's going on? Is the Bureau willing to accept our batch of goods? After you informed them, I transported the goods as quickly as possible. How do we do the handover?" "No, the Bureau didn't agree to accept our goods," Tang Zhizhong said as though. "They didn't agree to accept our goods? Then why did you get us to transport the goods over?" Many of the factory's employees got out of the cars and surrounded Tang Zhizhong. They were all counting on their salaries to support their families after this batch of goods was sold. This Mr. Zhou said that he can get the bureau to accept our goods, Tang Zhizhong said as he pointed at Zhou Wen with a complicated expression. He's from the bureau? Everyone looked at Zhou Wen in disbelief when they saw how young he was. No. He's a criminal who wants to surrender himself. As Tang Zhizhong spoke, his expression turned even odder. Chapter 1037. Surrender? Prisoner? Everyone looked at Zhou Wen and Tang Zhizhong in astonishment. Old Tang, are you still joking at a time like this? Everyone is waiting for this money to live. The middle-aged man who came first thought that Tang Zhizhong was joking. Tang Zhizhong smiled bitterly, unsure of how to explain. At that moment, Zhou Wen said to Yu Guang, I've indeed encountered some difficulties. Is your bureau really willing to help me? It's our bureau's duty to resolve the problems of the Federation citizens. Feel free to tell us what difficulties you have. As long as it's within our authority, we will definitely help you, Yu Guang said righteously, as though he was a selfless justice. Old Tang, that person looks like Yu Guang, right? The middle-aged uncle looked at Yu Guang on the building door with some uncertainty. He recognized Yu Guang, but today, he didn't dare to recognize it. It's Yu Guang. Tang Zhizhong nodded. But why would Yu Guang? The middle-aged man was skeptical, his eyes filled with puzzlement. It's probably because of him. Tang Zhizhong looked in Zhou Wen's direction and whispered to the middle-aged man, Perhaps our spacesuits can really be inspected this time. I've been very interested in spacesuits recently. I want to buy a few spacesuits to study. Perhaps I can contribute to the Federation's aerospace industry. However, as you know, I'm just a poor student. I don't have much money to begin with, and I've been wanted by your bureau. I don't have the money to buy spacesuits. Zhou Wen said. Director General, what should we do? Yu Guang had no choice but to ask Shin Yuqi again when he saw Zhou Wen brazenly extorting him. Shin Yuqi looked at Tang Zhizhong and company, who were being monitored, and asked with a frown, That should be Tang Zhizhong from Tang Aerospace, right? I remember that he has always been the spacesuit supplier for our bureau's space project. What's going on with them? Immediately, a director stood up and said, Director General, it's like this. We recently changed a spacesuit supplier, so we have some contractual differences with Tang Aerospace. Tang Corporation's spacesuits have always been of excellent quality. Why did they change suppliers? Shin Yuqi asked with a frown. Everyone immediately fell silent. Shin Yuqi pointed at them with his finger, but he didn't say a word. Finally, he said into the communicator, You know how to deal with Tang Aerospace, right? I understand. Yu Guang responded and hurriedly said to Zhou Wen, It's our duty to support the research and development of young talent. There are many advanced spacesuits in the Bureau. If you are interested in studying them, I can give you a few. I heard that Tang Aerospace's spacesuits are the best and most advanced in the Federation. I'm rather interested in this, Zhou Wen added. That's easy. Tang Aerospace is our Bureau's spacesuit supplier. We just ordered a batch of spacesuits. If you want them, I can sponsor you a few, Yu Guang immediately said. Are you talking about this batch? Zhou Wen asked as he pointed at the trucks. Yes, Yu Guang said. I heard that there's a problem with this batch of goods. You haven't accepted it yet. Could there really be a problem? Zhou Wen asked in surprise. That's just a rumor. Tang Corps' spacesuits have always been of high quality. There's definitely no problem with them. We were just about to inspect them, Yu Guang said through gritted teeth. Then hurry up and inspect them. You have to check them carefully. I don't want some inferior products, Zhou Wen said indifferently. Yu Guang had no choice but to send someone to inspect them. The entire process was surprisingly smooth. In less than 10 minutes, the inspection was completed on the spot and the goods were accepted. Tang Zhizhong and the other employees of Tang Aerospace felt like they were dreaming. After the inspection, The Bureau didn't dare move the spacesuits in the trucks into Sky Pass. They were afraid that Zhou Wen would take the opportunity to rush in when Sky Pass opened. There are so many spacesuits. Are you planning on giving them to me for research? The Bureau sure is generous. Zhou Wen gave a thumbs up before saying to Tang Zhizhong, "These spacesuits were given to me by the Bureau. Please help me send them to this place. Is that all right?" "No. No problem." Tang Zhizhong took the note with the address written on it and hurriedly instructed the company's employees to reload the trucks and pull the spacesuits back. The bigwigs of the Bureau were depressed. That was more than 100 spacesuits. They needed to pay a huge sum of money. Although this wasn't a huge sum to the Bureau, they were still displeased that Zhou Wen had taken all of them. "Mr. Zhou, thank you. Thank you so much." Tang Zhizhong brought a few of the company's upper echelons to thank Zhou Wen. "There's no need to thank me. This was bought by the Bureau. It has nothing to do with me. Just help me send it to the place," Zhou Wen said. "Mr. Zhou, don't worry. We guarantee that it will be delivered to the place. This is my number. If there's any problem with the spacesuits in the future, call me at any time. Even if the company is dissolved, I will provide you with after-sales services." Tang Zhizhong handed his number to Zhou Wen with both hands. "All right, you may leave." Zhou Wen took the note with the number written on it and put it away. He looked at Yu Guang at the city gate. He had no intention of leaving. Although spacesuits could resolve some of the problems of survival in space, they could only be used in relatively safe areas. Zhou Wen wasn't sure if he could teleport to a safe area, so he wanted more. Helping Tang Zhizhong and company was just something he had done in passing. Such a small price wasn't enough to resolve his grudge with the Bureau. "Actually, I'm also very interested in the space station. I want to study it." Tang Zhizhong and company, who were leaving, trembled when they heard Zhou Wen's words. "Let's go quickly and send the things safely to Mr. Zhou." Tang Zhizhong woke up the middle-aged man in a daze and urged him to drive faster. The middle-aged man started the car, but he couldn't help but glance at Zhou Wen through the rearview mirror. He said with a complicated expression, "Old Tang, that young Mr. Zhou. Who is he? Cold-faced Hades seems to be very afraid of him." "It's not just cold-faced Hades. I heard that Shin Yuqi is also in Sky Pass and hasn't left," Tang Zhizhong whispered. The middle-aged man's expression turned even odder. "Mr. Zhou is so young, yet he can shock the Bureau. It's truly unbelievable." Shin Yuqi felt a headache coming on. Zhou Wen was asking for an exorbitant price. Equipment like a space station required a lot of technology and materials. In this era, many technologies and materials were difficult to obtain. Building a space station could be said to be fraught with difficulties. The Bureau didn't even have many space stations, but Zhou Wen wanted one. This was simply making things difficult for him. Suddenly, Shin Yuqi seemed to think of something as his eyes lit up. He said into the communicator, "Bring Zhou Wen in. I want to talk to him." Chapter 1038. Zhou Wen. Just as Zhou Wen was about to see if he could extort a space station, a small door appeared beside Sky Pass's entrance at some point in time. An extremely muscular man walked out. Zhou Wen recognized him at a glance. It was the Bureau's Director General, Shin Yuqi. Back then, Shin Yuqi had made a trip to Sunset College because of Wang Mingyuan's matter, and Zhou Wen had met him. However, Shin Yuqi was a mountain that Zhou Wen could only look up to back then. With a flip of his hand, Shin Yuqi could kill him without a burial. But now it was completely different. Zhou Wen was confident that he could kill Shin Yuqi. As the boss of the Bureau, Shin Yuqi walked out of Sky Pass alone without any inspector by his side. He walked step by step to Zhou Wen. Even though Zhou Wen had always viewed the Bureau as an enemy, he couldn't help but cheer for Shin Yuqi's bearing. Just by standing there casually, he exuded a dignified aura, like an inviolable mountain. "Director General Shin, it's really not easy to meet you," Zhou Wen said to Shin Yuqi. "Why do you want to meet me?" Shin Yuqi asked indifferently. I should be asking you that. Didn't the Bureau always want to invite me? Zhou said. Shin-Yuqi's aura was as heavy as a mountain as he said in a solemn voice. The Bureau wants to arrest you because you are related to Jing Daoxian, and also because you are Wang Mingyuan's disciple. This is standard procedure. We have a clear conscience. In that case, I was wrong. Zhou stared coldly at Shin-Yuqi. Shin-Yuqi didn't dodge his gaze at all, nor did he back down. He looked Zhou in the eye and continued, "From the Bureau's point of view, you are indeed wrong. However, it's meaningless to say who's right and who's wrong. With your strength, right and wrong are no longer of any value to you." Director General Shin, are you saying that I'm a lawless thug? Zhou asked calmly. Of course you're not a thug. I've repeatedly studied your information. Perhaps you don't believe me, but my understanding of your character might be better than yours, Shin-Yuqi said. Then I'd like to hear what kind of person I am. Zhou looked at Shin-Yuqi with interest. Shin-Yuqi leisurely said, If you hear my evaluation, I'm afraid you'll want to kill me, so I won't say it. However, I have a suggestion regarding the grudge between you and the Bureau. I believe you will be interested. Tell me, Zhou said as he stared at Shin-Yuqi. Summon one of your legendary companion beasts, Shin-Yuqi said. Zhou was somewhat curious why a person like Shin-Yuqi dared to challenge him alone. Therefore, he followed Shin-Yuqi's instructions and summoned a legendary companion beast. It was a legendary golden warrior, a common dimensional creature in Dragon Gate Grotto. Golden warrior, a pretty good legendary companion beast. It's rare, Shin-Yuqi said as he took out an essence crystal and held it in his palm. Zhou was somewhat puzzled as to why Shin-Yuqi had taken out a primordial crystal. However, on careful look, he realized that there was a snow-white petal in the primordial crystal. Zhou didn't ask what it was because he knew that since Shin-Yuqi had taken it out, he would definitely explain it clearly. He was only somewhat curious. What magical item was this petal that made Shin-Yuqi so confident that he could move him with a petal? Shin-Yuqi didn't say anything else. He crushed the primordial crystal and let the petal fly out. Then, he used the wind from his palm to send the petal at the golden warrior. The petal landed on the golden warrior's head and fused into its body like melting snow. Following that, Zhou saw the golden warrior's body emit a strange glow. It was actually beginning to evolve. The golden warrior was only a low-level companion beast. It didn't have any evolutionary attributes, so under normal circumstances, it had no possibility of evolving. However, that tiny petal had actually allowed the golden warrior to begin evolving. This was truly shocking. There are no eternal enemies in this world, only eternal interests. Let's not talk about who was right or wrong in the past. Now, even if you slaughter the entire Bureau, you won't obtain any benefit. However, as long as you are willing, you can have such flowers with our Bureau. There are thousands of them, Shin-Yuqi said slowly. Zhou was somewhat tempted. Ignoring the fact that these petals were useless to high-level companion beasts, they were very useful to Zhou. This was because many mythical companion beasts found it very difficult to advance in the early stages, but they had no choice but to wait for them to grow. After obtaining such flowers, Zhou could use them to rapidly grow mythical companion beasts. For example, the evil spirit king that was extremely difficult to advance. This was because mortal companion eggs were rare to begin with. Although Zhou had bought quite a number, he still couldn't meet the requirements for the evil spirit king's advancement. If he had such flowers, he could directly advance the evil spirit king without going through so much trouble. Furthermore, Shin-Yuqi's claim that there were thousands of them did tempt Zhou. Why should I believe you? Zhou asked. Why don't we go in and take a look at the recordings? Then we can make a decision. Shin-Yuqi smiled. He knew that Zhou had been moved. Zhou and Shin-Yuqi entered Sky Pass together and arrived at the Bureau's base. They also saw the information Shin-Yuqi and company had taken on the moon. Zhou clearly saw the entire process of discovering the osmanthus petals and the osmanthus tree stump through the video. He knew that Shin Yuqi was right. According to this excavation speed, it was indeed possible that there were thousands of osmanthus petals discovered. Furthermore, there was the mysterious osmanthus tree stump. Perhaps it was even more valuable than the petals. Could it be that that's the legendary moon osmanthus tree? Then, are the legendary logger, moon palace fairy, and moon rabbit also existences? Zhou pondered inwardly. Let's work together to collect the osmanthus. After we're done, half of the harvest will be yours, Shin Yuqi said. Director General Shin, you don't look like someone who will spend money to eliminate disasters, Zhou said to Shin Yuqi. It can be considered a mutual benefit. Look further. Shin Yuqi played the final video. Soon, Zhou saw the huge footprint and the flattened space station. There are other dimensional creatures on the moon? Zhou frowned. Our bureau doesn't plan on giving up on such a divine item, so I plan on personally leading people to the moon. If you are willing to go with me, my promise is still valid. No matter how many osmanthus flowers we obtain, you can have half, Shin Yuqi said. Apart from half of the osmanthus flowers, I also want that tree stump, Zhou said. It's a pleasure working with you. Shin Yuqi raised his teacup. Chapter 1039. When Zhou returned to Wang Lu's house, the 110 spacesuits had already been delivered. Zhou, you're here. Wang Chan was very happy to see Zhou. It was obvious that she had been in a good mood recently. Although she was still affected by the misfortune life providence, her mood wasn't as bad as before. I heard from them that you bought these spacesuits. Why did you buy so many spacesuits? Are you going to the sky? Wang Chan asked curiously. That's right. I want to go to the moon to see if there's the legendary moon rabbit and Chang'e there, Zhou said with a smile. Those were all used to trick children. There's no moon rabbit or Chang'e. Even if there are, they are dimensional creatures, Wang Chan said with a pout. It's even better if they're dimensional creatures. Perhaps I can even get a Chang'e companion beast to play with, Zhou said. Are you Pigsy? Wang Chan said with widened eyes. Why am I Pigsy? Zhou asked cooperatively. You aren't Pigsy. Why do you have such good thoughts? Wang Chan said with a smile. While Wang Lu and company were around, Zhou recounted what had happened to him in the bureau. In fact, Li Xian and company had already learned a lot from Tang Zhizhong and company. However, Tang Zhizhong and company didn't know what happened in the end. Shin Yuqi is a very terrifying person. My grandmother once evaluated him and said that he's an old turtle, Wang Lu said. Li Xian was puzzled when he heard that. Why is he called an old turtle? Could it be that he's very good at cowering? Wang Lu said, turtles look stupid and don't seem to pose any threat, but when a turtle really attacks, it's terrifyingly fast. Furthermore, once it bites, it definitely won't let go. Shin Yuqi is the same. He usually doesn't reveal any flaws. Furthermore, he doesn't attack, but once he does, he will definitely kill. If such a person were born in one of the 6 families, his status wouldn't be limited to this. Even if his background is ordinary, he's now a hot figure in the Federation. From this, it can be seen how terrifying this person is. You ruined the Special Inspector Bureau's reputation in front of everyone this time, yet he can calmly discuss cooperation with you. I have a nagging feeling that he won't let it go just like that. That's right. There's nothing good in a place like the Bureau. There's a high chance that Shin Yuqi wants to use you to get rid of the dimensional creatures on the moon before thinking of a way to deal with you. Although your companion beasts are powerful, it's too easy for something to happen to you on the moon. I think it's best you don't go, Li Xian said. Actually, even if Shin Yuqi didn't invite me, I still wanted to make a trip to the moon. I have a primordial energy skill that's at a critical juncture. Perhaps I can make a breakthrough by making a trip to the moon. My promise to Shin Yuqi was just to take advantage of the situation. Furthermore, if there really are those osmanthus flowers, they will be extremely useful to me. I don't want to miss this opportunity, Zhou said. He had originally planned on using interstellar teleportation to take a look at the nearest moon. However, in that case, he needed to be prepared to live alone on the moon for a month. Now that Shen Yuqi had invited him, he could take a rocket to take a look. If Shen Yuqi really wanted to deal with him, he could use Glimmer's interstellar teleportation to directly teleport back to Earth. Furthermore, he had a powerful Terra-grade existence on him. If Shen Yuqi really wanted to scheme against him, it was unknown who would suffer in the end. That's true. There's actually a flower petal that can directly raise the level of a companion beast. That's awesome, Li Xian added. In short, you have to be careful of Shen Yuqi. Don't believe his words easily, Wang Lu exhorted again. I got it. I'll leave her to you guys while I'm away. She's relatively introverted and isn't good at communicating with others. If she has offended you in any way, don't hold it against her on account of me. Zhou wasn't afraid that the Wang family would bully her, but he was afraid that the Wang family would anger Yer and the family might be wiped out. Don't worry. We will take care of Yer like our biological sister. Wang Chan stroked Yer's head like an elder sister. Old Zhou, let me accompany you. You're unfamiliar with the crappy moon. It's better to have more people to take care of you, Li Xian said. It's best you don't go. That place is different from Earth. If something happens here, there's still hope as long as you don't die. If something happens there, as long as there's no oxygen, it'll probably be difficult for you to survive even if you have an immortal body, right? Zhou said. I've really never tried that. Li Xian was about to say something when he suddenly heard someone from the Wang family shouting in the yard. Third aunt, what happened? Wang Lu went out and stopped a woman. Someone challenged ya, who's first on the rankings. Everyone rushed to the cube to take a look, the middle-aged woman said. Zhou had almost forgotten about the ranking battle. It was mainly because he hadn't advanced to the mythical stage, so he didn't wish to participate in the battle. He didn't pay much attention to it. Now that he thought about it, there didn't seem to be much time left before the 1-month countdown ended. You guys go first. I have to check the spacesuit. I'll rush over later. Zhou stayed behind alone as the others went to the cube to watch Ya's battle. Boss Tang, does your company have the necessary oxygen, food and water? Zhou asked Tang Zhizhong. Of course. We originally planned on making an industrial chain, but unfortunately, there are too few people who need these now. We have a lot of inventory, Tang Zhizhong said helplessly. All right, send me all the necessary equipment you produce. Don't worry about the money. I won't shortchange you. Zhou was also making preparations for the future. Since there were dimensional creatures on the moon, Zhou felt that there might be dimensional creatures on other planets. With Glimmer's interstellar teleportation ability, he planned on visiting other planets in the future. The necessary items can't be sold. They're all piled up. They're not worth much. If you want them, take them all. Tang Zhizhong wanted to do Zhou a favor. There's no need to give it to me. I'll pay as much as I want. As long as the items are good, don't let anything go wrong. Zhou naturally wasn't someone who coveted small benefit. Don't worry. Our company is professional in this aspect, Tang Zhizhong said confidently. After Tang Zhizhong and company left, Zhou sent the spacesuits into the chaos space. Before long, Tang Zhizhong sent over compressed oxygen and other supporting equipment. The precision of the supporting equipment surprised Zhou. The various supporting equipment dazzled Zhou. There was even one specially used to resolve the problem of defecation. Zhou only learned how to use most of the supporting equipment after consulting Tang Zhizhong. Chapter 1040. By the time Zhou rushed to the cube, he saw Ya fighting a guardian named Beast Deity. Beast Deity held a huge stone hammer. Its strength was extremely powerful, and it repeatedly blasted away the primordial immortal sword in Ya's hand. Primordial Sword Immortal was Primordial Immortal Sword in Ya's hand. Its might was even stronger than Primordial Sword Immortal state, but it failed to kill Beast Deity. Is Beast Deity that strong? Zhou was somewhat surprised. He had arrived a few hours late, but the battle was still continuing. That's not the case, Feng Qiuyan said excitedly. That Ye is too powerful. He has already defeated 3 guardians in a row. Beast Deity is already the 4th. The 4th? Zhou frowned when he heard that. That's right. That Ye is really too arrogant. He doesn't rest at all. If anyone challenges him, he accepts the challenge. Now 2 of the 4 guardians who challenged him have been severely injured and 1 has been killed. Beast Deity looks like he can't hold on much longer. Li Xian was envious and jealous. In that case, they still want to challenge you despite knowing that they are no match for him? Zhou Wen's frown deepened. Isn't that normal? Ye is first. Don't all guardians have to fight for first place? What's wrong with that? Wang Chan asked in puzzlement. Zhou Wen shook his head and didn't say a word. All he did was look at Ye in battle. Ye's abilities were really powerful. It wasn't just his strength. His sword techniques were almost impeccable. Even Zhou Wen, who had created the heart-defying sword, had to admit that Ye was definitely not inferior to him in terms of sword technique. Furthermore, Ye was the same as Zhou Wen. He wasn't someone who purely relied on his sword technique. His various techniques made Zhou Wen think of the elegant Emperor's puppet avatar in Tiger Cage Pass. Could it be that the elegant Emperor is actually a guardian? The guardian that Zhong Zia fused with is the elegant Emperor? Zhou Wen was very suspicious of such a possibility. Zhou Wen had grinded Tiger Cage Pass so many times, but he had only seen the elegant Emperor's avatar. He still had no idea what kind of existence the elegant Emperor was. Perhaps he really was a guardian. The Beast Deity shattered Ye's body with his hammer, but it was only a puppet avatar. The real Ye had already appeared behind the Beast Deity. Primordial Immortal Sword stabbed at the Beast Deity's back. The Beast Deity made a prompt decision. At the risk of being injured, he turned around and used an arm to block the Primordial Immortal Sword's attack. Then, he admitted defeat and left the cube's arena. He did not fight to the death. All over the Federation, the people and media were in an uproar. Ye had already won 4 consecutive battles. Such a result was definitely unprecedented. After all, no one had seen consecutive battles between guardians in the past. Ye was considered the first person to do so. Without giving Ye any time to rest, another guardian challenged Ye, causing everyone to cheer again. Ye. Many people waved their fists excitedly and shouted Ye's name, wanting him to continue accepting the challenge. However, Zhou Wen felt that something was amiss. Although guardians were fighting to obtain first place, there was no need for some guardians who didn't have the ability to win the championship to take the risk to participate in the battle. They could wait for the next opportunity. After all, the ranking battle happened once a year. There was no need to hit a rock with an egg. They could wait for the next opportunity. However, the guardians continued to challenge Ye. It didn't seem like they wanted to snatch first place, but more like they were draining Ye's strength. Are the other guardians joining forces to deal with Ye? Zhou Wen's heart suddenly stirred as though he had thought of something. That's not right. Ye is different from the other guardians. The other guardians only contract with humans. However, Ye has absorbed a guardian. If that's the case, can Ye still represent the guardian's race? If he can't, won't no dimensional race be able to take over Earth if Ye wins? The more Zhou Wen thought about it, the more he felt that it was right. That's right. The various races of the dimension absolutely can't accept such a situation happening. Therefore, any guardian can become champion, but Ye can't. This is the reason why he has been continuously challenged now. Zhou Wen was somewhat worried. He didn't know if Ye could hold on. Even if he could, the guardians who really had a chance of obtaining first place were still secretly watching, prepared to launch a fatal blow at any moment. Zhouwen had seen Nightharch. He was a fellow who had already advanced to the terror grade. If he were to participate in the battle, you would be in even more danger. You didn't reject the challenge. He didn't even stall for time as he directly accepted another Guardian's challenge. Fight. He kept fighting. The cubes around the world were filled with humans and even dimensional creatures. The devils overseas were also paying attention to Ye's battle, hoping to find his weakness. However, no one could see through Ye's weakness after he accepted the challenge of 5 Guardians in a row. This was because Ye had defeated the 5 Guardians in the same way. Ye's sword technique combined with primordial immortal sword had unparalleled destructive power. Even Guardians found it difficult to withstand it with their bodies. However, this wasn't the main reason for their defeat. The main reason was that they couldn't tell if the one fighting them was Ye himself or his avatar. Every time they fought with all their might, they would realize that the one fighting them was only a puppet avatar. The real Ye suddenly appeared and took the opportunity to take their lives. Sometimes, they couldn't even tell if the one who injured them was Ye or his avatar. It seemed like no one had made the right choice until now, so no one could defeat Ye. However, the challenges continued. There were still Guardians who wanted to challenge Ye. They were determined to use a tag team battle to defeat Ye. Just as Zhouwen had guessed, anyone could be first, but Ye couldn't. Zhouwen didn't know what Ye was thinking. He was still constantly accepting challenges without even resting. After defeating a Guardian, he didn't give himself any time to rest. As long as someone challenged him, he would always accept the challenge. Something's wrong. Zhouwen felt something amiss as he looked at Ye in battle. Ye was crazy, but the feeling he gave Zhouwen wasn't Zhongzia's style. Zhongzia was very arrogant and evil, but he was definitely not a hot-blooded fool. Even Zhouwen could tell that his stamina and essence energy had decreased tremendously, but he was still constantly accepting challenges. If Ye was really Zhongzia, he would definitely choose to rest well and accept the challenge at the last moment so that he could be in his best condition during battle. What the hell happened? Zhouwen really wanted to rush into the arena and ask if Ye was Zhongzia and what had happened. Unfortunately, Zhouwen wasn't a mythical. He didn't have the right to challenge him. Wait a minute. Although I can't go on stage, my companion beasts can. I just want to ask Ye. There's no need to vie for first place, so there's no need to keep winning. Zhouwen's heart suddenly stirred. Chapter 1041. With this in mind, Zhouwen decided to send a companion beast to challenge. This companion beast had to be known by Zhongzia. If Ye accepted this companion beast's challenge, he might very well be Zhongzia. Of course, just in case, Zhouwen couldn't sacrifice his main combat strength. Which companion beast should I send to challenge? After some thought, Zhouwen couldn't think of a suitable companion beast. If he sent a main combat pet, such as Tyrant Behemoth, everyone would know that it was Zhouwen's companion beast, not just Zhongzia. Furthermore, if Ye wasn't Zhongzia, who knew if he would use some strange skill? If Tyrant Behemoth was killed, it would be a huge loss. If he wasn't afraid of Nightharch and the others who had already reached the terror grade, it wouldn't be a bad idea to send Demonic Neonate to vie for first place. However, Zhouwen didn't know how many terror grade existences were hiding in the dark, so he didn't dare take such a risk. After some thought, Zhouwen thought of a more suitable companion beast. Back then, Zhongzia had used the invisibility cloak companion egg to exchange for Medusa's dimensional crystal. Not many people knew that the invisibility cloak was with Zhouwen. Zhongzia was definitely one of them. Furthermore, the invisibility cloak had its benefit. With 3 minutes of invisibility, it wouldn't be easy to kill it. It would have time to surrender. Another benefit was that ordinary people couldn't see the invisibility cloak, so they wouldn't know that his companion beast was challenging it. This made it much more convenient. With this in mind, Zhouwen summoned the invisibility cloak and made it float towards the cube. As the invisibility cloak was invisible, no one could see him. Only some top experts could use some special methods to sense the existence of the invisibility cloak. However, at that moment, everyone's attention was attracted by the battle between Ye and the other guardians. No one noticed the arrival of the invisibility cloak. Ye was indeed very strong, but the continuous battles had drained him greatly. It was obvious that his strength and speed were decreasing. Even so, the guardian was still defeated by Ye. However, anyone could tell that Ye's dominance was declining. He was no longer as invincible as before. As soon as the guardian admitted defeat, someone else issued a challenge. Almost at the same time, Zhou got the invisibility cloak to issue a challenge. The cube in the imperial capital surged into the sky, shocking everyone. Who is it? Who issued the challenge here? Does our imperial capital also have guardians participating in the battle? Strange, why can't I see anyone? Who's the challenger? There's not even a shadow. Where is the person? Just as everyone was feeling bewildered, the words "Invisibility Cloak Challenges Ye" appeared on the Imperial Capital's cube screen. However, they still couldn't see its appearance. On the cube screen, the invisibility cloak was still invisible. Invisibility cloak. Someone actually hatched the invisibility cloak again. However, this should be a companion beast, right? A single companion beast actually dares to challenge a guardian. Isn't he a little too confident? Even with invisibility, it's impossible for him to defeat Ye, right? Of course not. Although the invisibility cloak's invisibility ability is powerful, its attack power isn't strong. I'm afraid it can't even break through the guardian's armor. It's useless saying so much. You probably won't accept the invisibility cloak's challenge. With so many guardians challenging him, he should be disdainful of such a companion beast. Everyone felt that it made sense, but next, the cubes all over the world lit up. Two names appeared at the same time, Ye and the invisibility cloak. Damn, Ye actually accepted the invisibility cloak's challenge. What's Ye doing? Is he fighting a companion beast? From the looks of it, he's really tired. He wants to use this opportunity to rest, right? Everyone felt that Ye had accepted the invisibility cloak's challenge because he wanted to rest. Zhou was overjoyed when he saw that the invisibility cloak had been chosen. From the looks of it, Ye is most likely Zhongxia. As Zhou pondered, the invisibility cloak had already passed through the cube's passageway and entered the cube's arena in the void. Ye remained standing in the cube's arena with primordial immortal sword in his hand. He didn't show any emotional fluctuations, as though he didn't recognize the invisibility cloak. Is this fellow Zhongxia or not? Zhou wasn't sure now because there seemed to be endless fighting spirit in Ye's eyes. In the next second, Ye had already pulled out primordial immortal sword and stabbed at the invisibility cloak. The invisibility cloak's ordinary invisibility ability was clearly useless in front of Ye. Ye's strike was fast and ruthless. It was even more ferocious and intense than the previous battle. Zhou had no choice but to order the invisibility cloak to use its invisibility ability. The invisibility cloak's figure vanished as well. Ye's strike passed through the invisibility cloak, but failed to injure him. When primordial immortal sword passed through the invisibility cloak, Zhou suddenly realized that the invisibility cloak produced a strange fluctuation. He couldn't help but be alarmed. Could it be that Ye has the ability to see through invisibility? Just as Zhou was thinking, he suddenly saw Ye's body dissipate like a stream of light after passing through the invisibility cloak. Then, he vanished. What skill is this? Is it also invisibility? Zhou was momentarily taken aback. When he saw the scene displayed on the cube, he was stunned. On the cube screens all over the world, Ye, who was ranked first, fell from first place for the first time. Replacing him was Zhou invisibility cloak. It wasn't just Zhou. Everyone was stunned, unsure of what was happening. The invisibility cloak had challenged Ye, but you had admitted defeat with only one strike. After all, they couldn't see the invisibility cloak. They could only see you strike. They didn't know how you lost or why he admitted defeat. Impossible, right? A companion beast can actually defeat a guardian? Or a guardian like you? What the hell? A companion beast actually occupied first place. It's definitely shady. I bet all my wealth on you to win. Now I've lost everything. I even lost my wife's money. Boo-hoo. Brother, gambling isn't good. Don't worry and pay your debt. I'll take care of your wife. The guardians who were prepared to challenge you were taken aback when they saw you lose and give up first place. They were momentarily stunned, unsure if they should continue challenging. Should they challenge the invisibility cloak in first place or Ya, who had already fallen to second place? As for Zhou, he had already sensed that something was amiss with the invisibility cloak. On the inside of the invisibility cloak, a line of words had been written. Help me occupy first place. Rush back in 48 hours. I can't lose first place or I'll die. Zhongzia. Zhou didn't know how the line was written, but there was no doubt now. Ya was Zhongzia. 48 hours. You think too highly of me. Zhou didn't know what had happened, but it wasn't easy to occupy first place on the rankings for 48 hours. Now, the preparation time for the challenge had been reduced to an hour. In 48 hours, Zhou had to accept 48 challenges. Furthermore, he couldn't challenge the same challenger a second time in the same day. Chapter 1042. After a moment of silence, a guardian immediately issued a challenge to the invisibility cloak. Zhou naturally wouldn't accept it. The invisibility cloak's auxiliary effects were very strong, but its actual lethality wasn't much. In a battle with a guardian, there was basically no chance of victory. Li Xian and company knew that Zhou had the invisibility cloak as they looked at him with odd expressions. However, it wasn't appropriate for them to say it out loud in such a place. Wang Lu, apart from here, are there any other places with relatively few people that have cubes? Zhou asked Wang Lu. Yes, but there are many dimensional creatures in the uninhabited area outside the imperial capital, Wang Lu said after some thought. Can we get there in an hour? Zhou asked again. Then we have to be fast enough. At the very least, we have to have the speed of a mythical creature. Furthermore, we can't delay on the way. Wang Lu didn't hesitate and immediately answered Zhou question. All right, give me the address. Zhou speed was comparable to that of a mythical creature. That place isn't easy to traverse. I'll take you there, Wang Lu said as she summoned a huge white cat. All right. Zhou carried her and sat behind Wang Lu. After greeting Li Xian and company, Wang Lu rode the white cat and flew off. It was definitely not an easy task to maintain first place for 2 days. It was impossible for Zhou to let the invisibility cloak fight, so he could only challenge himself and stall for time for 2 days. As the companion beasts he challenged had to be at the mythical stage or had mythical talents, it was impossible to use ordinary companion beasts to stall for time. Zhou did the math. If he summoned all his mythical companion beasts, he might be able to last for 24 hours. He couldn't repeatedly use companion beasts to challenge in a day, so he needed many mythical companion beasts to survive. Thankfully, Zhou had quite a number of mythical companion beasts, so it shouldn't be a problem. Wang Lu's white cat was actually a mythical companion beast. It was rather fast as it ran on the main road of the imperial capital and quickly left the city. There were many dimensional zones near the imperial capital. The white cat ran quickly and didn't encounter any dimensional creatures along the way. After more than 40 minutes, the white cat brought the 3 of them to an ancient town that no one lived in. There was a cube in the town. We're here. Wang Lu controlled the white cat to stop in front of the building. Didn't you say that there are many dimensional creatures nearby? Zhou was somewhat puzzled. He didn't see any dimensional creatures nearby. Because I don't wish to encounter them, I naturally can't see them, Wang Lu said with a blink. Zhou was enlightened. It was because of Wang Lu's luck stat. Thankfully I have you. Otherwise, I don't know if I can make it in time if I'm stopped by dimensional creatures. Zhou looked at the challenge countdown. There were less than 10 minutes left. He hurriedly summoned a golden battle god halberd and got it to challenge the invisibility cloak. Seeing that there were still a few minutes left, Zhou wasn't in a rush to accept the challenge. He wanted to wait until the last second and not waste any time. It wouldn't be easy to survive the 48 hours. People all over the world were waiting for the invisibility cloak to accept the challenge. However, as time passed, the invisibility cloak remained motionless. The countdown was about to end. The invisibility cloak won't automatically forfeit, right? It's very possible. Although the invisibility cloak is strong, it's only a support-type companion beast after all. Its combat strength isn't strong. Even if it accepts the challenge, it's impossible for it to be a Guardian's match. You probably forgot that the invisibility cloak defeated you. That's just a coincidence. I think you was already at the end of his rope when he fought the Guardian. That's why the invisibility cloak took advantage of him. You can't say that. We haven't seen the invisibility cloak's powerful offensive abilities before. Perhaps it does. As everyone discussed, there were only 10 seconds left on the countdown. As they watched time pass, everyone's hearts leaped to their throats. From the looks of it, the invisibility cloak is about to give up on accepting the challenge. Seeing that the countdown had reached 1, it was about to end. To everyone's surprise, the screen suddenly lit up. The invisibility cloak has accepted the challenge. Whose challenge is it? Holy **T. Golden Battle God Halberd. Another companion beast. Why do I feel like I've returned to the previous ranking battle? This is too retro. Golden Battle God Halberd. It seems to be a mythical companion beast from the West District. Can it defeat the invisibility cloak? Seeing the Golden Battle God Halberd appear on the cube and float in the air, everyone looked forward to a huge battle. Although they knew that the Golden Battle God Halberd's strength was definitely inferior to a Guardian's, they were still very curious as to what skills the invisibility cloak had. Countless pairs of eyes stared at the cube's screen. After waiting for a while, there was no reaction. After waiting for a while, there was still no reaction. What's going on? Is the video stuck? Someone asked in puzzlement. This is a cube, not an online livestream. How can it be stuck? Someone beside him said. It's not stuck. Why isn't the scene moving? I think. Maybe the Golden Battle God Halberd hasn't moved? It can't see the invisibility cloak at all. How can it move? It's responding to changes by remaining motionless. That doesn't mean it can't keep motionless. It's impossible for the invisibility cloak to keep hiding. The Golden Battle God Halberd is waiting for an opportunity. As everyone looked at the frozen scene, they discussed how the Golden Battle God Halberd could find the invisibility cloak. After waiting for a while, more than half an hour passed. The Golden Battle God Halberd remained motionless like a mountain, and they couldn't see where the invisibility cloak was. At that moment, people began to feel that something was amiss. Holy **T. Could this be a fixed match? Don't tell me the Golden Battle God Halberd and the invisibility cloak belong to the same person? I think it's very likely. Otherwise, how could it not move? It's blatantly fixing the match. How shameless. After waiting for a while, the Golden Battle God Halberd and the invisibility cloak still had no intention of moving. Everyone had already realized that this was definitely a fixed match. If this continues, won't they be able to last until the end of the ranking battle? Then, the first place on the rankings will definitely be chosen between the invisibility cloak and the Golden Battle God Halberd. This is too shameless. I wonder who could do such a thing. It's a disgrace to the Federation. Be it the Federation or overseas, they hated such actions. However, the Guardians didn't panic as they continued waiting patiently. Zhou sat in front of the cube and played with his phone. He wanted to spend the 48 hours like this. Unfortunately, the heavens didn't go according to his wishes. In the cube's arena, an indistinct dazzling light suddenly appeared as though there was some life in it. Chapter 1043. This dazzling light was none other than the one who had announced the beginning of the Battle of Guardians. Now that he had suddenly appeared, it was clearly because of the invisibility cloak and the golden battle god Halberd's fake competition. The creature in the dazzling light slowly said, "From now on, the outcome of the battle between all companion beasts must be decided within an hour. If the time is exceeded, both sides will be eliminated. The final first-ranking battle will use the single-dimensional challenge mode. There is no time limit. As long as a guardian challenges, the person ranked first has to accept the challenge until there are no more guardians to challenge." After saying that, the dazzling creature disappeared into the void. A huge number appeared on the cube's arena. It was a 3-minute countdown. Haha, this is what you get for fixing the match. Even dimensional creatures can't stand it anymore. Trying to be opportunistic? You're thinking too much. Do you think dimensional creatures are fools? Are you dumbfounded now? We can only stall for 3 minutes at most. The invisibility cloak and golden battle god Halberd are worth it. They actually forced the Battle of Guardians to change the rules. Everyone discussed animatedly, but Zhou wasn't anxious at all. He didn't have any hopes of surviving 48 hours with just one companion beast. I can stall for an hour before the challenge, and I can stall for another hour during the battle. In that case, I only need 12 mythical companion beasts to stall for 24 hours. When the time comes, I'll repeat it again. I'll be able to stall for 48 hours. Zhou secretly calculated. Zhou didn't waste any time as he waited for the 3-minute countdown to end. Everyone thought that Zhou was in a dilemma. Only at the last second did the invisibility cloak automatically admit defeat, allowing the golden battle god Halberd to occupy first place. The golden battle god Halberd actually took first place. What a joke. Don't worry, it won't stay up there for long. The Guardian will drive it down soon. Do you think that person will have another mythical companion beast and continue challenging himself? I don't think so. You heard the rules that the dimensional creature mentioned. Infinite challenges. This move is useless. He won't be able to get first place. Invisibility Cloak and Golden Battle God Halberd are companion beasts from the West District, right? I wonder which family in the Western District would actually do such a shameless thing. Seeing that the Golden Battle God Halberd didn't accept the challenge, everyone guessed that he would drag it out to the last second again. They wanted to see how the Golden Battle God Halberd would be defeated. Although they knew what was going on, no one left. After waiting for an hour, there was only 1 second left for the challenge acceptance. The arena lit up as the Golden Battle God Halberd accepted the challenge. Demon Blood True Dragon, another companion beast. It can't be the same person, right? Everyone saw a black dragon appear on the cube's arena and confront the Golden Battle God Halberd. In the end, after a long standoff, they still didn't make a move. F***ck again? Is this guy crazy? What's the point of doing this kind of useless work? You're angry out of humiliation, aren't you? It's obviously impossible for you to get first place, yet you still want to do this. Everyone was very angry at this kind of forceful delaying of time, but there was nothing they could do. Now, they didn't even need to look to know the result. One side would definitely admit defeat at the last second. Indeed, as they expected, the Demon Blood True Dragon admitted defeat at the last second. The Golden Battle God Halberd remained in first place. Then, there was another long hour of waiting. Now, everyone knew that the owner of the Golden Battle God Halberd wouldn't accept the challenge unless he dragged it out to the last second. After waiting for another hour, the Golden Battle God Halberd accepted the challenge. However, the challenger was another Demon Blood True Dragon. What the hell is this? Didn't the demon blood true dragon just go on stage? Didn't they say that the same companion beast can only challenge once a day? Why is it here again? No, this isn't the same one. Look carefully. Behind the demon blood true dragon, there's a tiny Kuan character. This one doesn't have it. Really? So it's not the same one. This person is too shameless. Since he's going to lose in the end, why waste everyone's time? The spectators were very displeased, but Zhou remained indifferent as he continued stalling for time. 2 hours later, another demonic blood true dragon entered the cube's arena. 4 hours later, another demonic blood true dragon entered the cube's arena. In the beginning, there were still people complaining, but now no one complained. 4 true blood demon dragons. These are all mythical companion beasts. Together with the golden battle god Halberd and Ein Kai, there are already 6 mythical companion beasts. Do you think these mythical companion beasts belong to one person or a large family clan? The possibility of a family clan is higher, right? It's very rare for a person to have so many mythical companion beasts. I think it's very likely to be owned by one person. In Luoyang's overseer manor, Sheng and Tianzhua were also watching the livestream. It's the 4th demon blood true dragon. Don't tell me young Master One has already gathered 9 demon blood true dragons to pull the carriage? Sheng said. It's already luck to have 4. It's unlikely there will be any more, Tianzhua said indifferently. Young Master Wen's luck seems pretty good. That's hard to say. Sheng disagreed with Tianzhua. What's so hard to say? Relying on luck ultimately has its limits, Tianzhua said expressionlessly. It was unknown if there was some mysterious force behind it, but just as Tianzhua finished speaking, Zhou, who was grinding the underground sea dungeon, dropped another demon dragon true dragon companion egg. Zhou was originally worried about what companion beast to use for battle, but now, he didn't have to worry anymore. He hatched the 5th true blood demon dragon and let it take its place when the time was right. The 5th one. There really is a 5th one. How is this a duel? He's just flaunting his companion beasts. If the owner of these companion beasts is the same person, that would be really terrifying. I wonder if there will be another demon blood true dragon fighting next. From the words at the back, it seems to be arranged according to the 8 trigrams. There should be a total of 8, right? How can it be so easy to gather them? I want to see how many mythical companion beasts that person has. People who were originally very dissatisfied with such a fake competition now hope to see how many mythical companion beasts the owner of the golden battle god Halberd had and what other companion beasts would appear. Overseer, it's the 5th one, Sheng reported softly. I can see it, Tianzhua said expressionlessly. Chapter 1044. Do you think there's a 6th demon blood true dragon? It can't be that heaven-defying, right? Even if there really are 8 trigrams true dragons, who would be so lucky to have all 8 demon blood true dragon companion beasts drop, it's already very heaven-defying to have 5 drop, right? There were still many powerful people in the Federation media. During this period of time, someone had already investigated all the companion beasts that had appeared. The Federation Freedom Investigation Bureau was a relatively famous media outlet in the Federation. They had already created a column that introduced these companion beasts in detail. Not only did it introduce the origins of the golden battle god Halberd, but it also dug out the origins of the invisibility cloak and its story. Only then did people realize that the invisibility cloak was a strange existence that had already been hatched and returned to its companion egg state. Almost no one could hatch it again. What was even more mysterious was that after the invisibility cloak was auctioned off, it was stolen. Up to now, no one knew who had the invisibility cloak. The origins of the demonic blood true dragon had also been dug out by them, which caused widespread discussion among the people. Although they couldn't see the battle, people's interest didn't decrease. Many people read the reports while waiting. Holy sh*t, this is too impressive. There are actually a total of 9 demon blood true dragons, and they're in the terrifying Zhuolu underground sea. What kind of powerful existence can kill 9 demon blood true dragons and have 5 companion beasts drop? I think this is definitely a family. It's impossible for it to be done by one person. According to the Federation Freedom Investigation Bureau's report, the combat strength of these 9 demon blood true dragons is extremely terrifying. I've never heard of anyone being able to fight the 9 demon blood true dragons alone. How powerful is the person who owns the Golden Battle God Halberd in the West District and the Demon Blood True Dragon in the East District? It's definitely impossible for it to be one person. It must be a family. The 6 families haven't indicated that this matter has anything to do with them. I have a feeling that the person who owns these companion beasts might be one person. Compared to who owns these companion beasts, I'm more interested in knowing what kind of companion beast will appear next. Will it still be the Demon Blood True Dragon? People were discussing who had these companion beasts. They were divided into 2 camps, arguing incessantly. Most people believed that the owner of these companion beasts was definitely a large family clan. Even if he wasn't an existence like the 6 great clans, he was definitely a tyrant. A portion of them were discussing whether the person with these companion beasts was from the East District or the West District. This was because up to now, the companion beasts he had used had come from the East and West Districts. Amidst the discussions and arguments, 2 hours passed. Everyone punctually waited in front of the cube or the livestream, waiting for a new companion beast to appear. Indeed, at the last second, the Golden Battle God Halberd accepted the challenge again. However, this time, the challenger that appeared on the cube was no longer the Demon Blood True Dragon. She was an extremely beautiful girl with a pair of intoxicating eyes and a head full of long hair. With just a glance, one would feel as if they were in love. Medusa. It's actually Medusa, and a young Medusa at that. I heard that ever since the Cursed Demon Palace was discovered, many experts wanted Medusa to drop. Some people have killed Medusa, but up to now, I haven't heard of anyone dropping a Medusa companion beast. I knew it. The owner of the Golden Battle God Halberd is definitely from our West District. The young Medusa is really beautiful. I like this companion beast so much. Buying it for 100 million Federation dollars. This Medusa is still so cute. It's too scary when she transforms into a demoness. I'm willing to use 10 years of my lifespan to exchange for a day with the young Medusa. The videos and pictures of the young Medusa quickly swept through the entire Federation because she was just too beautiful. Zhou was still playing cards with Wang Lu and company in the town when Feng Qiyan and Li Xian rushed over. However, their journey wasn't that smooth. They encountered many powerful dimensional creatures and slaughtered a bloody path before arriving at the town. The few of them had nothing to do in the town, so Zhou took out a table and cards. The few of them played cards in front of the cube, but after a few rounds they found it boring. There were clearly 4 people playing cards, but only Wang Lu won. It was really meaningless. You guys continue playing. I'll go take a look nearby. I can gain some combat experience, Feng Qiyan said as he stood up. He wasn't afraid of losing, but playing cards wasn't fun for him. It was better to practice his saber. Li Xian also laughed. This card game is really boring. I don't even need to look at the cards to know that I will lose. No matter how good the cards are, I can't win. I'm not playing anymore. Wang Lu said helplessly, there's nothing I can do about that. I can't control my life providence. Are there any interesting places nearby? Li Xian asked. Wang Lu thought for a moment. There's a Fox Immortal temple nearby. It consecrates Queen Mother Fox Immortal. I heard that as long as you offer incense to her, you can fulfill a wish. Are you serious? Then can I wish for a mythical companion beast or guardian? Li Xian asked. Of course not. Wang Lu said with a smile. In fact, there's only one wish that Queen Mother Fox Immortal can fulfill. It's to temporarily improve your luck. During this period of time, if you kill dimensional creatures, the chances of a companion egg dropping will be higher. There's actually such a good thing? How long can this effect last? Li Xian's interest was piqued. Not necessarily. It depends on the person. Some people get it for a short period of time, maybe tens of minutes to an hour. There are also people who get it for a long period of time. Their luck will be better the entire day. However, typically, it's only effective on that day. After midnight, the luck augmentation will definitely disappear. Wang Lu paused before saying, furthermore, it's only effective on the 15th. Our luck isn't bad. Today happens to be the night of the full moon on the 15th. We can go there to take a look. Is it far? Zhou was very interested when he heard that. If Fox Immortal Temple's augmentation is really effective, his efficiency at grinding companion beasts in-game will increase greatly. With our speed, we can reach the place in 20 minutes at most, Wang Lu said. Then let's go take a look together. Zhou looked at the time and realized that there was still time. Under Wang Lu's lead, the group quickly arrived at Fox Immortal Temple. This was also a dimensional zone, but it was very small. It was just a tiny temple. Chapter 1045. The tiny Fox Immortal Temple didn't even have a courtyard wall. Although it was called a temple, it was actually a small house made of stone. The door was only half the height of an ordinary door. If one wanted to enter, they had to bend their backs very low. The temple was also very simple. There were almost no decorations. The stones used to build the temple were uneven and very crude. There was a stone offering table in the temple. On the offering table was an ancient wooden memorial tablet. On it were the words, Queen Mother Fox Immortal. Wait a moment. There's another taboo when entering Fox Immortal Temple. You have to kneel in, otherwise you won't obtain good luck, but bad luck, Wang Lu hurriedly said when she saw that Li Xian was about to enter. So be it. It's not embarrassing to kneel to Queen Mother Fox Immortal. Queen Mother Fox Immortal will bestow me with more luck later. Li Xian was rather open-minded. He walked to the door of the temple and plopped to his knees. Needless to say, the tiny temple could only be entered by kneeling. Li Xian had to lower his head and nod to enter while kneeling. He couldn't enter standing. When he arrived at the temple, Li Xian lit the 3 incense sticks Zhou had given him and bowed to Queen Mother Fox Immortal's memorial tablet. Then, he inserted the 3 incense sticks into the incense burner. At that moment, a purple gas immediately rose from Queen Mother Fox Immortal's memorial tablet. The purple gas circled above Li Xian's head and landed on his forehead, forming a circular blurry symbol on his forehead. It looked like a fox with its head and tail connected. Is that it? Has my luck increased? Li Xian left Fox Immortal Temple and asked Wang Lu. It has already increased. I don't know how long it will take. When the symbol on your forehead disappears, it means that the time is up, Wang Lu said. Then let's not waste any more time. Little Yan Yan, quickly go in and pay your respects. Let's go out and try killing some dimensional creatures. Li Xian urged Feng Qiuyan to enter. Feng Qiuyan took the 3 incense sticks and mimicked Li Xian. He knelt down and paid his respects. The outcome was the same. A purple gas rushed out from the tablet, but the amount of purple gas was much more than Li Xian's. The pattern it formed was also clearer. One could already see the fox's facial features. It wasn't as blurry as Li Xian's, where even its face couldn't be seen clearly. Why is ours a little different? Li Xian asked as he looked at the symbol on Feng Qiuyan's forehead. The clearer the pattern, the stronger and longer the ability to enhance luck, Wang Lu explained. This is discrimination. Why is little Yan Yan's effect better than mine? Li Xian said gloomily. Because you're ugly, Zhou said with a smile. Since you are pretty, why don't you give it a try? You might even be inferior to me, Li Xian said with a twitch of his lips. Zhou also wanted to know if Queen Mother Fox Immortal's luck would add to the game. Therefore, he took out the 3 pillars and walked to Fox Immortal Temple. Then, he mimicked Li Xian and knelt in front of it. Bang! The memorial tablet in Fox Immortal Temple suddenly seemed to be blown away. It fell from the offering table and fell to the ground, splitting into 2 halves. Zhou held the incense in a daze as he looked at the 2 halves of the memorial tablet on the ground. Can it still be used? Zhou wanted to give it another try, but just as he moved his knees and took half a step into the temple, the 2 halves of Queen Mother Fox Immortal's memorial tablet immediately exploded into pieces. Zhou knew that it was useless when he saw this situation. All he could do was stand up with a bitter smile. Feng Qiuyan and Wang Lu looked at Zhou with odd expressions. Li Xian had seen it many times, so he didn't have much of a reaction. Old Zhou, it looks like you are not fated to be augmented by a deity in this life. Don't be so impressive in your next life. It's not a good thing to be too impressive, Li Xian comforted Zhou as he patted him on the shoulder. Zhou was helpless as well. He knew that his life providence was at work, but there was nothing he could do. Most temples required him to pay his respects. Problems would arise the moment he did so. He couldn't obtain any benefits. Forget it. I'm going back. Zhou didn't obtain any augmentation, nor did he find the tiny palm symbol. He planned on rushing back to the town's cube with Wang Lu. Feng Qiuyan and Li Xian teamed up to kill dimensional creatures. They weren't interested in watching Zhou flaunt his companion beasts. Zhou didn't walk far when he suddenly thought of something. He got Wang Lu to return to Fox Immortal Temple and switch to the Supreme Hell King Life Soul to take a look from afar. With this look, he realized that there was a purple spiritual energy rising in the temple. It was as though a transparent purple fox was coiled above the temple as it stared at Zhou in surprise. Is this thing considered a dimensional creature? Zhou looked at the spirit body fox. Under normal circumstances, humans couldn't see such pure spirit bodies. Only the Supreme Hell King Life Soul could allow Zhou to see such things. Zhou summoned a golden battle god halberd and flew towards the fox's spirit body. However, the golden battle god halberd flew through the fox's spirit body without injuring it. The fox only stared at Zhou fiercely, but it seemed to be afraid of something. It didn't dare attack him. Zhou summoned the Light Concealment Sword and the Night Immaculate Sword. He also tried several companion beasts, and realized that their attacks were useless against the fox in its spirit body state. The fox only looked at Zhou without any intention of attacking him. What are you doing? Wang Lu looked at Zhou in puzzlement. She couldn't see the spirit body fox. All she saw was Zhou using all sorts of companion beasts to constantly attack the air above the temple. She imagined that he had offended Queen Mother Fox Immortal and had been cursed. Nothing. Seeing that ordinary companion beast attacks were useless against the fox, Zhou summoned Ice Maiden from the Chaos Bead. Ice Maiden could clearly see the spirit body fox. After she came out, she stared at the temple. When the spirit body fox saw Ice Maiden, it immediately bared its teeth and stared at her as though it was afraid of her. Could the fox in this temple really be a Terragrade creature? Zhou had only guessed previously, but now that he saw Queen Mother Fox Immortal staring at Ice Maiden, he was even more certain. If Queen Mother Fox Immortal is a Terra creature, wouldn't the Earth in the Earth Temple or the Mountain God in the Mountain God Temple be Terragrade creatures? Zhou expression turned odd. Although it was somewhat surprising that there was a Terragrade creature in the temple, what really puzzled Zhou was that his life providence could smash a Terragrade creature's tablet in front of it. Furthermore, the Terragrade creatures didn't do anything to him. Zhou felt a lingering fear just thinking about it. If the Terragrade creature really attacked him, wouldn't he have long lost his life? Chapter 1046. Ice Maiden, is that a Terra creature? Zhou asked Ice Maiden. Yes, but it's somewhat different from the Terra creatures of the dimension. It should be a Terra-grade creature native to Earth, Ice Maiden said. Are you confident? Zhou asked. I'm confident with the heaven-shrouding bell in hand, Ice Maiden said expressionlessly. Let's go. Zhou turned around and left, dispelling his desire to battle. The heaven-shrouding bell had already been fused with demonic neonate. He couldn't even take it back, much less return it to Ice Maiden. Furthermore, there wasn't enough time. He had to get Medusa to admit defeat when he returned. Otherwise, the two companion beasts would be eliminated. After this matter was done, he would study the fox carefully. Ice Maiden didn't want to return to the Chaos Bead, so she returned to the town with Zhou and company. Seeing that the countdown was almost up, Zhou was wondering which companion beast to send to stall for another 2 hours. As Zhou was thinking, everyone in the world was guessing what the next companion beast would be. Even the 6 families and overseas devils were studying the companion beasts that Zhou had sent to battle. At the same time, they were guessing who the owners of these companion beasts were. This was because apart from the golden battle god halberd, Medusa, and the invisibility cloak, few people had seen the other companion beasts, much less know their abilities. However, for so many companion beasts to be gathered in the hands of a person or faction was a very terrifying matter. It was worth their attention. They were also secretly guessing who had these companion beasts. Unfortunately, none of the companion beasts fought after they went on stage. They didn't have a chance to study them. As the crowd waited, Medusa also admitted defeat and quit. A new round of challenges began. When the challenge waiting period ended, a companion beast named Ancient Splitting Tadpole appeared on the cube's arena. It made everyone look at each other because no one had seen such a companion beast before, much less know what abilities it had. Who knows which zone the Ancient Splitting Tadpole is from? The chief editor of the Federation Freedom Investigation Bureau asked as he scanned the entire studio. Everyone looked at each other. They couldn't even tell which zone the companion beast belonged to. Investigate. Investigate immediately. Think of all possible methods. No matter what, we have to find out the origin of the ancient splitting tadpole before our opponents do, the chief editor said fiercely. It wasn't just the Freedom Investigation Bureau. In fact, all the major clans were trying to investigate the arrival of the ancient splitting tadpole. All kinds of intelligence agencies were operating. However, even the locals in the South District didn't dare approach the Valley of No Return. Not many people knew that there were splitting tadpoles inside, much less a mythical ancient splitting tadpole. There were some people who had entered the Valley of No Return and were lucky enough to come out alive. They had seen the typical splitting tadpole, but the typical splitting tadpole was very different from Zhou. In the end, a news reporter from the Federal Freedom Investigation Bureau stationed in the South District remembered seeing a photo in a local native's house. It was a mythical ancient splitting tadpole. The reporter hurriedly ran over and realized that the dimensional creature in the photo was indeed identical to the ancient splitting tadpole. After repeated inquiries, he learned the origins of the photo. In less than an hour, the Federal Freedom Investigation Bureau once again reported the origins of the ancient splitting tadpole. Holy sh*t, a mythical companion beast that came from a place like the Valley of No Return. People who knew about the Valley of No Return gasped after reading the report. It's another companion beast from the South District this time. Now we can confirm that the person with these companion beasts is definitely a large faction. It's impossible for it to be a single person. How can a single person have so much energy to go to so many places and hunt so many mythical companion beasts? I think it's most likely one of the 6 families behind the scenes. How can a family have such immense strength to cross different zones to hunt mythical creatures? Now, people were extremely interested in these companion beasts. They no longer had the contempt they had before. As for the Federal Freedom Investigation Bureau, a self-media outlet, it published an article in a timely manner. if these companion beasts belonged to the same person. The article made a hypothesis that if these companion beasts belonged to the same human, what would happen when this human participated in the ranking battle? This article didn't come to a conclusion, but it did a lot of analysis. The so-called guardian was actually at the mythical stage. It was just a relatively strong mythical stage. Typical mythical companion beasts were no match for them. As for the owners of guardians, they also had mythical companion beasts. Therefore, if a single mythical companion beast were to challenge them, there was almost no chance of winning. However, what if it was a human with a large number of mythical companion beasts? Invisibility cloak, golden battle god halberd, 5 demon blood true dragons, Medusa, and ancient splitting tadpole. There were already 9 mythical companion beasts in battle, and there might even be more. If such a human participated in the battle and he didn't have a contracted guardian, could he defeat a human with a guardian? This article immediately caused a worldwide discussion, causing the originally tense ranking battle to turn into a discussion. In theory, with the invisibility cloak, one can ensure their safety. Furthermore, with a large number of mythical companion beasts, the guardian will still lose if they use the pet C strategy. The pet C strategy is useless. The guardian has absolute strength to suppress it. Furthermore, the owner of the guardian also has mythical companion beasts. I think there's a chance of defeating the guardian. The premise is that these companion beasts belong to the same person. This problem isn't valid at all. Without a guardian, humans can't reach the standards of the mythical stage. There's no possibility of them entering the ranking battle. In the end, everyone realized that it was indeed meaningless. This was because without a guardian, it was impossible for humans to participate in the battle. Even if the companion beasts belonged to the same person, it was useless. This made everyone realize that the ranking battle was actually dominated by the dimension. Humans were just accessories to the battle, not the main characters. I really want to see real humans participate in the battle, and not the companions of those guardians. Many people had this thought in their minds. Unfortunately, humans couldn't advance to the mythical stage. This was already an indisputable fact. It was impossible to see pure humans participate in the battle. However, Zhou didn't think too much about it. He had nothing to do and was grinding dungeons. The other dungeons were almost done. Zhou went to the Maze of Lies on Sunday, hoping to see if he could kill the Destiny Twin Witches. To his surprise, after entering the Maze of Lies, he discovered that the Devil Clown had respawned. After killing the Devil Clown, he heard a ding as a companion egg dropped. Zhou was somewhat surprised. He had been grinding for a long time without many mythical companion eggs dropping. Today, a demon blood true dragon and a devil clown dropped one after another. Chapter 1047 Devil Clown, Mythical Life Providence, Devil's Advocate Life Soul, Devil Believer Wheel of Destiny, Clown Strength, 67 Speed, 80 Constitution, 62 Essence Energy, 78 Talent Skill, Stealth, Inverting Magic Ball, Poison Blade Companion Form. Soul. The Devil Clown's stats were somewhat extreme, but he was actually a very rare companion beast in a soul form. By allowing the Devil Clown to possess him as a soul, he could use his various abilities. This was rather useful to Zhou. I wonder if I can kill the twin Destiny Witches. It would be interesting if I can get the 2 witches' companion eggs to drop. Since Zhou had nothing to do, he wanted to give it a try. Ordinary methods definitely wouldn't work against the Destiny Witches. They seemed to have some special power. Killing them was equivalent to killing the blood-colored avatar. If any of them died, the blood-colored avatar would die as well. Zhou had already tried it before. Truth listeners, evil nullification, and the heaven-opening scripture of the highest elder were useless. They were unable to withstand the power of death. Now, Zhou wanted demonic neonate to give it a try. If a powerful terregrade existence like demonic neonate killed the Destiny Witches, would there be any problems? When he arrived at Destiny Witch Castle, Zhou summoned demonic neonate and ordered her to kill the Destiny Witches. Demonic neonate used the demonic sword to kill the white-robed witch, but at the same time she killed the white-robed witch, the blood-colored avatar died as well. Doesn't this method work? Zhou frowned slightly. However, he felt that there had to be a way to kill the Destiny Witches. It was impossible for there to be an absolutely invincible dimensional creature that couldn't be killed. No matter how strong the Destiny Witches were, they were only at the mythical stage. They hadn't reached the terregrade, so it was unlikely that they were too strong. However, because their abilities were too strange, he might need a special method to kill them. What kind of power can kill them? Zhou thought to himself, hoping to find their weakness. It's probably unrealistic to kill them directly unless I have the ability to resurrect. Unfortunately, even Li Xian doesn't have the ability to resurrect, much less me. Then, the Destiny Witches don't seem to have much offensive strength. As long as they don't draw cards, they can't do anything to their opponent. It's only because they control the door to the garden that they have no choice but to draw cards. Wait, draw cards? Zhou seemed to think of something as his eyes lit up. He continued thinking to himself, their cards can kill people and open the door to the garden. Then, is there a hidden card among those cards that can kill them? In the past, Zhou had always drawn the card that opened the door before not continuing. Now, he wanted to give it a try. If he continued drawing, would he encounter any special cards that might have a backlash effect on the twin Destiny Witches? He arrived in front of the white-robed witch again. Under the protection of Truth Listener and the heaven-opening scripture of the Highest Elder, Zhou began drawing cards again. Every card had a different picture, representing a different way of dying. However, to Zhou, these ways of dying were useless. After all, they were useless against him. When he drew the 23rd card, Zhou finally drew the mass card. The door to the garden opened. However, this time, Zhou didn't choose to walk through the door. Instead, he continued drawing the cards in the white-robed witch's hand. He wanted to see if the remaining cards hid the secret to killing her. He looked at the cards one by one, but the outcome was the same. Apart from the mass card, the other cards had the ability to kill his opponent. As Zhou continued drawing, he didn't discover any card that had a negative effect on the white-robed witch. Could it be that I was wrong? Is there no secret to killing the Destiny Witches hidden in this set of Destiny cards? Zhou drew the last card. After flipping it over, he immediately felt the Truth Listener earring transform a large amount of essence energy into the blood-colored avatar's body. Clearly, the card's target was him and not the white-robed Destiny Witches. Zhou glanced at the white-robed Destiny Witches. Now, she no longer had any cards in her hand. She stood there motionless, without any intention of attacking or retreating. Can a witch without a card be killed? Zhou's heart stirred as he decided to give it another try. He summoned the light concealment sword and killed the white-robed witch with one strike. However, the blood-colored avatar also died. It still doesn't work? Zhou thought to himself, but no matter how he thought about it, he felt that his train of thought wasn't wrong. Since he couldn't kill the Destiny Witches directly, he had to think of a way to deal with her cards. Could it be that I have to finish drawing all the cards in the Twin Witches' hands? Zhou thought for a moment and felt that he had to give it another try. He entered the game again. This time, Zhou didn't even take a look as he drew all the cards in the Twin Witches' hands. Not a single card was left. However, the outcome was still the same. Among the 108 cards, there were 2 mask cards. The other cards were cards that could kill the opponent. None of them were cards that could backfire on the witches. Looking at the cardless Twin Witches in his hand, Zhou wanted to see if killing them would cause a backlash. Just as he was about to take action, Zhou's heart suddenly stirred. The sword in his hand didn't slash down as he glanced at the destiny cards he had drawn. He held the 2 decks of cards in his hand and messed them up before placing them in front of the 2 witches. "Do you want to draw cards?" The Destiny Twin Witches, who had been expressionless all this while, finally had a change in their expressions. They stared at the cards in Zhou Wen's hand and actually extended their hands to draw. The white-robed witch pulled out a black card. It was the guillotine card. Then, a shadow of the guillotine appeared on the white-robed witch's body. In the next second, the white-robed witch's head was beheaded. Killed mythical creature, Destiny Twin Witches, white. They can really be killed like this. From the looks of it, they have to abide by the rules of the Destiny card. Zhou Wen watched as the black-robed witch drew a white card. On it was a gallows. Then, the black-robed witch was hanged as well. The game gave a notification. Killed Destiny Twin Witches, black. Although the 2 witches didn't drop anything, Zhou Wen was already very happy. He had finally found a way to kill the Destiny Twin Witches. It was only a matter of time before a companion egg dropped. Unfortunately, the Destiny Twin Witches were mythical creatures. They would need 2 days to respawn. Otherwise, Zhou Wen really wanted to grind dozens of times and have a Destiny Twin Witch drop to see what their stats and skills were. On the other side, the ancient splitting tadpole's time was up. Zhou Wen needed to choose a new companion beast to stall for time. Chapter 1048. Which companion beast should I send out? Zhou Wen mainly didn't want others to know that these companion beasts belonged to him, so he didn't want his iconic companion beast to fight. Otherwise, he wouldn't have needed to consider so much. After some thought, Zhou Wen decided to let the newly hatched devil clown fight. Then, he did some calculations. Invisibility cloak, golden battle god halberd, 5 demon blood true dragons, Medusa, ancient splitting tadpole, and devil clown. I only need 3 mythical companion beasts at most to stall for 24 hours. After 24 hours, I can let the companion beasts that have previously fought challenge again. It shouldn't be difficult to last for 48 hours. Although he had this plan in mind, Zhou Wen didn't believe that the dimensional creature would really let him stall for time. Perhaps it would have a new move that would prevent him from stalling for time. I can only take it 1 step at a time. I'll stall for as long as I can. I wonder what Zhongxia is doing? Why must I help him stall for 48 hours? Zhou Wen had previously considered this problem, but he couldn't figure out the reason. When the devil clown appeared in the arena, it stirred up another heated discussion. It's another new mythical companion beast that I've never seen before. It's just too powerful. How many mythical companion beasts does he have? Devil clown, where is this companion beast from? I've never heard of it before. Now, we can confirm that this is a family taking action, right? It's impossible for a person to have so many mythical companion beasts. Soon, the media in the North District exposed the origins of the devil clown. They also explained in detail the terror of the Maze of Lies and the terror of Sunday's dimensional zone. It's actually a mythical companion beast from the North District. Now, all the mythical companion beasts from the 4 districts are here. How do I guess? Which district's family is it? Now, most people believed that it was impossible for it to be a single person. It was definitely a family taking action. The 6 families and some wealthy families were also investigating who these companion beasts belonged to. With so many mythical companion beasts, even in this era of rapid development and increasing numbers of mythical companion beasts, their influence was still terrifying. But no matter how he looked, there wasn't a single family that completely met the requirements. What companion beast will appear next? I'm really looking forward to it. If so many mythical companion beasts belong to the same person, how strong is this person? Impossible. Even among the 6 families, no one has so many mythical companion beasts, right? That's true. It's too difficult. Everyone was looking forward to the appearance of a new companion beast. They wanted to know how many mythical companion beasts this mysterious unknown family could produce. After another 2 hours, when the Knight Immaculate Sword appeared, it was quickly recognized by the Xia clan. This was because someone from the Xia family had once fought Knight Immaculate Sword, but no companion beast had dropped. Now that they saw Knight Immaculate Sword appear in the arena, the Xia family was puzzled. Who was it that had dropped Knight Immaculate Sword from the ancient sword tomb controlled by the Xia family? It was just too strange. After the origins of the Knight Immaculate Sword were exposed, many people suspected that the family with these companion beasts was the Xia family. If one wasn't from the Xia clan, it was almost impossible to enter the ancient sword tomb. If one had the Knight Immaculate Sword, it was very likely that he was from the Xia clan. As people made all sorts of guesses, another 2 hours passed before a companion beast named Dragon Tiger Pill Essence appeared in the cube's arena. At this moment, the Zhang family couldn't sit still. The most precious pill essence in Pill Furnace Mountain wasn't the mythical life pill or death pill, but the Dragon Tiger Pill Essence that Zhou had dropped. Although it was also at the mythical stage, the Dragon Tiger Pill Essence had the characteristics of a life pill and a death pill at the same time. It was a divine pill that could truly revive the dead. Of course, the Dragon Tiger Pill Essence couldn't really revive the dead. It could only repair injuries that couldn't be revived to a certain extent. However, as the chances of the Dragon Tiger Pill Essence appearing were too low, the Zhang family had only encountered it a few times. No companion beast had dropped. However, Pill Furnace Mountain was a forbidden ground of the Zhang family. Outsiders couldn't enter at all. Now, someone had actually used the Dragon Tiger Pill Essence that the Zhang family didn't have. How could the Zhang family not be alarmed? The people who originally suspected the Xia family now began to suspect the Zhang family. After all, the Zhang family's pill essence was just too famous. The Zhang family was also doing their best to investigate. They wanted to know when the Dragon Tiger Pill Essence had dropped, but they didn't come up with anything. All sorts of guesses flew around the Federation. Now, everyone wanted to know who the family with these companion beasts was. However, no matter how much they guessed, there was no confirmation. There were mythical companion beasts from all 4 regions, so it was very difficult to guess. Young Master Zhou Wen's companion beast luck is really too strong. I really don't know how he managed to drop so many mythical companion beasts. And Xing couldn't help but marvel when he saw the Dragon Tiger Pill Essence. It's just luck, Tianzhua said. And Xing said with a bitter expression, Overseer, why don't we call young Master One the next time we kill a mythical creature? Why do we call him? Can't we kill it ourselves? Tianzhua snorted coldly. We can kill it, but in the past 2 months we have killed more than 10 mythical creatures. Quite a number of dimensional crystals dropped, but none of these companion beasts dropped. And Xing said helplessly. The corners of Tianzhua's eyes twitched. His luck hadn't been good recently. He had killed quite a number of mythical creatures, but no companion beast dropped. It has nothing to do with the person. We'll naturally have them if we kill more, Tianzhua said expressionlessly. Yes, Overseer. Then let's kill more, Xing replied solemnly. How's little Jing now? Tianzhua asked after some thought. Miss Jing has been cultivating at Chess Mountain's encampment. Now, she's much more mature. She has made quite a bit of contribution and is very respected, Xing said. That's good. Tianzhua nodded slightly. Now, the entire Federation and even the overseas factions were discussing what new mythical companion beasts would fight next. When the evil Spirit King appeared, no one knew what companion beast it was. They had never even heard of it, so investigations failed to produce any result. Another 2 hours passed. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, a new companion beast appeared. However, on careful look, they didn't see anything. On careful look, they realized that the companion beast challenging was actually the invisibility cloak. Only then did people realize that 24 hours had passed. The invisibility cloak that they had previously challenged could now be challenged again. Chapter 1049. 24 hours are up. The invisibility cloak has reappeared. Doesn't that mean that by using these companion beasts, one can continue reincarnating day after day until the last day of the rankings ends and enter a single infinite challenge mode? Only then can one chase the golden battle god halberd down from first place? Holy sh*t, they can do that? Doesn't that mean that we won't be able to watch? There are still a few days before the end of the rankings. Let me do the math. A total of 13 mythical companion beasts have appeared. That's scary enough. Ordinary guardians probably have no chance of winning if they encounter him, right? That might not be the case. Some powerful guardians have area of effect skills. It's useless no matter how many low-level mythical companion beasts there are. Haha, I originally thought that it would be a battle between guardians. I never expected that we won't be able to see guardians in the next few days. Unfortunately, pure humans can't appear. Otherwise, I really want to see what kind of scene it would be if these companion beasts appeared with one person. As everyone was discussing, they suddenly realized that the dazzling light had appeared above the cube's arena again. This time, the dazzling creature was even more straightforward. After it appeared, it said, "The challenge acceptance time for companion beasts will be reduced to 3 minutes. If you don't accept the challenge within 3 minutes, it will be considered a forfeit." With that said, the dazzling creature tore through the air and vanished. Why is it only targeted at companion beasts? Why aren't guardians restricted? This is clearly discrimination against humans. It's fine if you don't let pure humans participate in the competition, but even companion beasts are being targeted by changing the rules time and time again. Then why don't you just not let companion beasts participate in the battle? Why are you still pretending? It's disgusting. What can we do? The rules were set by dimensional creatures. This is their game to begin with. They can change it however they want. Humans are nothing. How *king infuriating. They like to play this way. They have the capital to do so. If they can't win, they change the rules. It's too *king shameless. Don't play if you can't afford it. Why don't you just say that only guardians can participate in the battle? The last time the rules were changed, there were still people gloating, but this time, many people were protesting for the owners of the companion beast. It wasn't that they had any feelings for these companion beasts, nor did they really like to fight for justice. It was just that they had seen through the essence of the ranking battle after the dimensional zone had changed the rules again. This wasn't a game for humans at all. Even human companion beasts were targeted time and time again. This feeling was very uncomfortable. The challenge acceptance time has been changed to 3 minutes. In that case, one will need twice the number of companion beasts in a day to dominate the rankings. Even if it's any one of the 6 families, it won't be easy to gather 24 mythical companion beasts, Zhang Chuanxiu said with a sigh. Is there no other way? Zhang Yuji said as she looked at the golden battle god halberd on the screen. There's nothing we can do unless more mythical companion beasts participate in the battle. However, even if we gather 24 mythical companion beasts, dimensional creatures can still change the rules again, Zhang Chuanxiu said. If that's the case, what's the point of setting up rules? Zhang Yuji said. It's meaningless to begin with. To the dimension, this is just a game, but to our Earth, this game might determine our fate in the next year, Zhang Chuanxiu said. Is it that serious? Will one really become the king of Earth after obtaining first place? I don't think so. Zhang Yuji didn't agree with Zhang Chuanxiu. It's very serious. It's so serious that it's unimaginable, Zhang Chuanxiu said seriously. Since it's so serious, why don't you stop it? Zhang Yuji asked in puzzlement. I'm trying, but there's not much time left. Zhang Chuanxiu smiled. However, the situation isn't that bad. After all, the guardians participating in the battle have to use the strength of humans to go further. Perhaps those humans can influence the guardians. The guardians are growing, but the strength of humans is stagnant. Their influence will only weaken. How useful can they be? Zhang Yuji clearly knew what the guardians were about. That might not be the case. Isn't there another way? Zhang Chuanxiu said with narrowed eyes. You mean Wang Mingyuan and company? Zhang Yuji was alarmed. What they can do might not be impossible with our Zhang family's abilities, Zhang Chuanxiu said. But if that's the case, it will become. Zhang Yuji didn't finish her sentence. Become a monster? Zhang Chuanxiu leaned on the railing and looked at the distant Mount Dragon Tiger. Sometimes it's really hard to distinguish between humans and monsters. If I have to choose between monsters and slaves, I'd rather become a monster. With that said, Zhang Chuanxiu turned around and smiled brightly at Zhang Yuji. Of course, it's the kind of monster that doesn't eat humans. In the Dugu family in the South District, Dugu Go was also watching the livestream. His face was expressionless, and it was unknown what he was thinking. Second uncle, is it really impossible for humans to advance to the mythical stage with their own strength? Dugu Go was still in a daze, but he asked Worm Dugu. No one can do it for the time being, Worm Dugu answered. Dugu Go seemed to know this answer long ago as he continued muttering to himself. Our Dugu family has been researching for so many years, but we haven't found a way to advance humans to the mythical stage. Could it be that we really have no choice but to follow Wang Mingyuan's old path? You can't say that. Actually, it's not like our family hasn't made any progress over the years. For example, the human goo fusion technique might allow humans to advance to the mythical stage, Worm Dugu said. Dugu Go shook his head and said, We're just deceiving ourselves. What's the difference between the so-called human goo fusion and Wang Mingyuan? It's just that he used a guardian while we used goo. We all turned into monsters, so there's no difference. There's nothing we can do about it. Humans have a huge flaw in their talent. There's an insurmountable gap between them and the mythical stage. Worm Dugu was somewhat helpless. When he was young, he had been like Dugu Go and company. He had been hot-blooded and wanted to rely on his own strength to advance to the mythical stage. However, after so many years, the goo he reared had advanced to the mythical stage, but he was ultimately only at the peak of the epic stage. He couldn't advance any further. Forget it. Let's see how the owners of those companion beasts will deal with them. Even the 6 families won't be able to gather 24 mythical companion beasts in a short period of time, right? Even if they can gather them, no one will expose all their strength in public. Dugu Go watched the golden battle god halberd with interest. Chapter 1050. Zhouwen was somewhat worried as well. Although he had quite a number of mythical companion beasts, it was somewhat difficult to gather 24. Furthermore, if that was the case, he definitely needed to put up his signature companion beast. What should I do? Zhouwen thought to himself. With the principle of stalling for time, Zhouwen first got the companion beasts that could fight to stall for time before he slowly thought of a solution. According to the principle of only being able to challenge again after 24 hours, there's still one more companion beast that can fight after the invisibility cloak. The companion beasts after that won't reach the 24-hour requirement. Therefore, there has to be a new companion beast. Otherwise, we can only give up on dominating the rankings, Anxing said as he calculated. It's a meaningless move to begin with. So what if we can continue dominating the rankings? The final unrestricted challenge has already been decided. We can't obtain first place using this method, Antianzwa said. Everyone was discussing what the owner of the golden battle god halberd would do next. Would he release a new companion beast or end the domination of the rankings? Most people felt that it was meaningless to let companion beasts continue occupying the top spot. The dimension wouldn't give ordinary companion beasts a chance to win through trick. This period of time was a torment for everyone. Everyone wanted to know what the owner of the golden battle god halberd would do after the rules changed. The various media outlets also wrote all sorts of analysis articles. Most of them felt that there was no need to continue after the rules were changed. Even if the owner of the golden battle god Halberd had other mythical companion beasts, there was no point in continuing if they couldn't reach 24 hours of samsara. To achieve 24 hours of samsara, one needed at least 24 mythical companion beasts. At present, only the 6 hero families had such strength. However, up to now, no family had come forward to admit that the golden battle god Halberd was their doing. Time quickly passed amidst everyone's anticipation. Zhouwen was also racking his brains to think of a solution. Zhongzia had made it sound so serious. He had to think of a way to survive the remaining 20 hours. I have Torch Dragon, Behemoth, Tai Sui, Great Might Vajrabull, Galaxy Shell Dragon, and other companion beasts. They are too iconic. As long as I release them, everyone will definitely guess that it's me. Furthermore, exposing all my important combat strength will be very disadvantageous for me. But apart from that, what other way can I stall for time? After some thought, Zhouwen's eyes suddenly lit up as he summoned Demonic Neonate. Demonic Neonate looked at Zhouwen quietly. She wasn't without intelligence, but she didn't like to speak. Even when facing Zhouwen, she remained silent. Neonate, how's your rations? Zhouwen was naturally referring to Grim Demon. After Grim Demon devoured the corpse the last time, he seemed to have evolved. However, because he couldn't see Grim Demon's information in-game, he didn't know if he had completed his evolution. Demonic Neonate didn't say a word. All she did was summon the demonic sword and pull it out of its scabbard. With a casual shake, Grim Demon flew out of the sword. Grim Demon, long time no see. Come, sit down and have a drink. Let's have a good chat, Zhouwen said with a smile as he waved at Grim Demon. Grim Demon was extremely smart. From Zhouwen's expression, he knew that Zhouwen had a favor to ask of him. He immediately put on the airs of a lord and raised his chin slightly. He looked at Zhouwen with contempt and said, "What's the matter? Tell me and let me consider it." As he spoke, he suddenly broke out into a cold sweat. He hurriedly turned his head and saw that Demonic Neonate was looking at him. Her arrogant look immediately turned into a fawning one. She lowered her head and bent her waist as she said to Zhouwen with a beaming smile, "If you have anything to say, feel free to instruct me. I'll definitely do it for you." Zhouwen nodded and sized up Grim Demon. "How's your current strength? Do you have the strength of a Terragrade?" When Grim Demon heard Zhouwen's question, he immediately became smug again. "What kind of existence am I, Grim Demon? Of course I have the strength of a Terragrade. Ignoring the Terragrade, if I hadn't been suppressed for so long, even a calamity wouldn't have been a problem, not bad." Zhouwen nodded. "Not wrong." When Grim Demon heard that and looked at Zhouwen's expression, he had the urge to immediately use his Terra transformation to tear him to pieces. He wanted him to know that the dignity of a Terragrade expert was not to be blasphemed. However, when he saw Demonic Neonate beside him, Grim Demon's words changed. "You're right. My standard is indeed not bad." "Not bad? Then let's do this. Go up and challenge them later," Zhouwen said as he pointed at the cube beside him. Grim Demon's eyes lit up when he saw the cube. He immediately became ambitious as he said loudly, "Don't worry. Now that my strength has recovered a lot, defeating those brats and obtaining first place won't be a problem. It's time to let those new brats know how powerful your Grim Demon ancestor is." Zhouwen nodded and said, "That's good. After you go up, try your best to stall for time. You can only lose, not win." "All right, I'll definitely kill everyone. I can only lose." "What?" After Grim Demon figured out his situation, he widened his eyes at Zhouwen. It was as though something was wrong with his ears. "The companion beasts above are all mine. Do you have any problems?" Zhouwen asked Grim Demon. "Can I not go?" Grim Demon resisted the urge to smash Zhouwen into smithereens and asked humbly. He was Grim Demon, yet he had lost to a companion beast, and such a weak one at that. Grim Demon felt that this was a huge insult to him. What do you think? As Zhou spoke, he glanced at Demonic Neonate. Grim Demon subconsciously glanced at Demonic Neonate with Zhou before immediately making up his mind. He swore to Zhou, "It's my honor to be able to work for you. I'll definitely do my best and lose flawlessly." "There's no need to be flawless, nor do you need to fight. Just go up and stall for time. Stall for as long as you can. When I get Demonic Neonate to inform you, you can admit defeat yourself." Zhou explained his request in detail. The changes to the rules of the creatures were targeted at companion beasts, but guardians weren't within the restrictions. If Grim Demon were to challenge them, he wouldn't have to abide by the rule of having to decide the victor in an hour. I want to see how those fellows from the dimension will change the rules. Are they going to restrict guardians as well? Zhou thought. This was clearly impossible. If the guardians couldn't determine a victor in an hour, both sides would be eliminated. Then, something would probably happen in the final battle. Soon, the 1-hour countdown was up. Everyone looked at the cube's big screen and waited for the Golden Battle God Halberd's owner to make a decision. Chapter 1051. Unexpectedly, the invisibility cloak didn't admit defeat this time. Instead, the Golden Battle God Halberd admitted defeat and left the battlefield. People believed that this was a sign of giving up. It was likely that the owner of the Golden Battle God Halberd didn't want to persist any longer. Is it finally going to end? Although I knew that this was meaningless, for some reason, I still have some anticipation that I can't explain, someone said in disappointment. Perhaps it's because of my expectations for myself. In the real world, there are many things we want to do, but due to our own conditions or other reasons, we can't do them. Sometimes we can't help but hope that someone can do something they can't do. Even if it's just watching others succeed, we will be very happy, his friend said after some thought. A wake-up call. That's right. Although we can't participate in the ranking battle, we still hope that there will be real humans participating in the battle and not those guys with guardians. Another person said, "Actually, there's no difference, right? Aren't companion beasts and guardians the same external forces? How can it be the same? Companion beasts are obtained through our own hard work. That's the power we control. However, what about guardians? Their strength ultimately belongs to them. They represent the dimension. Even if they win in the end, it only means that the dimensional race they represent has won, not us humans." There were many people who thought the same as them, but everyone knew that the era of guardians was coming. This was already an irreversible trend. With the invisibility cloak occupying first place, a guardian immediately issued a challenge. The invisibility cloak was a companion beast. According to the changed rules, it only had 3 minutes to accept the challenge. 3 minutes quickly passed. Humans stared at the big screen, wondering if the invisibility cloak would still choose a companion beast as its opponent. The screen flashed as the invisibility cloak accepted the challenge. However, this time, it wasn't a companion beast challenging the invisibility cloak, but a guardian. From the looks of it, it has really given up. Everyone sighed inwardly. Although they knew that they would eventually fail, they weren't willing to see this moment come. Grim Demon is a guardian I've never heard of. I wonder who he belongs to. From the looks of it, only the guardian is participating. His human companion didn't appear together. You look down on the invisibility cloak that much? That's true. Although a guardian is also at the mythical stage, it's clearly much stronger than ordinary mythical companion beast. Furthermore, the invisibility cloak isn't a companion beast with very strong combat strength. I believe this guardian will still win in the end. Everyone suddenly felt a little dispirited. The battle of guardians that they had been looking forward to didn't feel so interesting anymore. We're finally back on track. Let me see how strong the other guardians are. A man in guardian armor smiled when he saw Grim Demon appear. But after a while, people suddenly found something wrong. After Grim Demon entered the cube's arena, he floated in the air, looking extremely mysterious, mighty, and domineering. However, he only floated there, looking up at the sky at a 45-degree angle without launching an attack. Wait, what's going on? Look at that guardian. Doesn't he look familiar? Don't tell me he's here to stall for time like those companion beasts? No, that's impossible. I don't think it's possible either. What's the point of a guardian stalling for time? Furthermore, if there's a guardian, why doesn't he bring the guardian himself? Why did he bring those companion beasts up? But look, he's really the same as the companion beast from before. He's standing there motionless. Instantly, there were ripples in the Federation again. Everyone was guessing what Grim Demon, the Guardian, was up to. Why was he doing this? Also, was the owner of Grim Demon and the owner of the invisibility cloak the same person, or was he just trying to stall for time? It's been half an hour, but Grim Demon still hasn't moved. From the looks of it, there's no mistake. He's also stalling for time. Holy sh*t, since there's a guardian, why didn't he enter earlier? After all this time, it turns out that this is also a fellow who used a guardian to start his career. That's right. If he didn't have a guardian, how could he kill so many mythical creatures and have so many companion beasts drop? Don't you find it strange? Why did the guardian enter the arena himself, but his human companion didn't? As people were discussing, the Federation Freedom Investigation Bureau suddenly released an article, The Contract Method Between Humans and Guardians. The article proposed a very interesting idea, which also caused a huge reaction in the Federation. The article pointed out that up to now, more than 40 humans had contracted guardians. Some of them didn't hide their identities and had even become celebrities among humans. There were even some young people who were originally unknown who became famous in the Federation because of this. The Federation Freedom Investigation Bureau had also interviewed a portion of them. All the humans with guardians expressed that their contract with the guardian was absolutely fair. Any party could terminate the contract at any time without any repercussions. However, the reporter from the Federation Freedom Investigation Bureau pointed out that this contract looked absolutely fair, but in reality, it wasn't. After a human contracted a guardian, the human's growth would stop, while the guardian could continue to become stronger. It looked like a fair contract, but only the guardian would benefit in the end. Of course, when they had a guardian, humans could also use the guardian to do things that were beneficial to them. However, in the end, humans were more like tools. Grim Demon's appearance in the arena alone made the Federation Freedom Investigation Bureau reporter have a sudden thought. Therefore, he raised the question of whether there was only one way for a guardian to contract with a human. Moreover, he also hypothesized that there might be a form of contract in which the human would be in charge. What if the guardian couldn't take the initiative to terminate the contract before humans did anything to breach the contract? How is that possible? The difference in strength between humans and guardians is too great. Even if there's such a contract method, guardians definitely won't be willing. That's right. Now, humans have a favor to ask of guardians. How can they sign such a contract? It sounds like this contract method is fairer. Guardians have obtained benefits from humans. There's no reason for them to leave as they please after obtaining the benefit. That's right. We still have to split the assets after a divorce. All the benefits are taken by the guardian. This is unfair in itself. Chapter 1052. As everyone discussed, Grim Demon felt extremely uncomfortable standing in the arena. This should have been a stage where he slaughtered everyone and made everyone tremble in fear, letting them know that he, Grim Demon, had returned. But now, all he could do was stand there and do nothing. Although he had tried his best to make himself look cool and powerful, Grim Demon was extremely unhappy when he thought about how he would have to admit defeat in the future. That despicable human. If it weren't for Her Excellency Demonic Neonate, I would have blasted him to smithereens, Grim Demon thought gloomily. Since he was only here to stall for time, Grim Demon closed his eyes and waited for time to slowly pass. Just an hour later, Grim Demon suddenly felt that something was amiss. When he opened his eyes, he realized that the invisibility cloak had been forcefully ejected from the cube's arena. He had also won. What's going on? Grim Demon was pleasantly surprised as he thought to himself, you can't blame me for this. That thing admitted defeat. Zhou wasn't the only one who was stunned by this sudden situation. All the humans on Earth were stunned. Soon, people realized what had happened. Isn't this too much of a bully? Why is the companion beast judged to have lost within an hour, but the guardian is judged to have won? It's unfair. I've seen shameless people, but I've never seen someone this shameless. If they want to judge the loss, they should be judged to have lost together. Why is the guardian judged to have won just by standing there motionless? Everyone was furious and condemned him, but it was of no use. The ranking battle continued, and everything was still under the control of the dimension. People couldn't help but feel sad. They were clearly going to choose the King of Earth, but Earth's creatures didn't even have the right to choose. Zhou and Wang Lu were also stunned by this shameless operation. Wang Lu said angrily, "These fellows are too much of a bully." Zhou snapped to his senses and said thankfully, "I'm already very lucky." Thankfully, they didn't judge Grim Demon as the loser. Otherwise, the situation would only be worse. However, Zhou had already thought about it. It was unlikely that both of them would be eliminated. That way, there would be no first place. If the second place were to fill in, it would still be Zhongzia. First place wouldn't fall into the hands of an outsider. However, this way, Zhouwen's plan of using Grim Demon to stall for 48 hours would fail. All he could do was let Grim Demon continue accepting challenges. You want to fight? Then let's fight. Zhou was somewhat confident in Grim Demon's strength. No matter what, this fellow already had the strength of a Terragrade. It shouldn't be a problem for him to defeat ordinary guardians. As long as it wasn't a guardian challenge at the level of Ninth Arch, Grim Demon should definitely win. Many guardians challenged Grim Demon. Zhou had previously learned about some of them. After watching some of their battles and looking at the challenge list, he got Demonic Neonate to inform Grim Demon to accept one of the guardians' challenges. I have to win. Zhou finally got Demonic Neonate to pass the message to Grim Demon. Demonic Neonate only needed to inform Grim Demon with a thought. Grim Demon was overjoyed when he heard that, but he still muttered, "Why are you picking an opponent? My strength is enough to suppress everything. No matter how many of those brats come, they will only die." However, despite saying that, Grim Demon still accepted the challenge of a guardian named Darkness Emissary according to Demonic Neonate's message. This guardian, Darkness Emissary, had previously been interviewed by the Federation Freedom Investigation Bureau. It was a rather inspirational story. A youth from a small city had entered a famous school with excellent result. After graduation, he took one step at a time and became an outstanding freelance hunter. Then, he received the blessings of the heavens and unexpectedly encountered a guardian cocoon. It happened to match his hidden talent, allowing him to become a top figure in the Federation. At that moment, Wei Gu was holding a teacup in one hand. As he watched the livestream, he flipped through the information beside him. The content of the information was regarding Darkness Emissary. After Wei Gu graduated, he went through a lot of setbacks before finally entering the Special Investigation Bureau. He started as an ordinary inspector and was now only a lowly archivist. Although this was only an ordinary archive room of the Bureau, the information Wei Gu could come into contact with was incomparable to what he had in the past. He wasn't in a hurry either. He persisted in combing through the files every day. Others weren't willing to do such boring work, but he enjoyed it. Now, Wei Gu knew all the files in the archive room like the back of his hand. Darkness Emissary and Zhou Ming's information was also among them. When he saw Darkness Emissary enter the arena, he pulled out his information to take a look. They both have the same surname, Zhou, but why is there such a huge difference in their conduct? Wei Gu couldn't help but sigh after reading Darkness Emissary's information. The information obtained by the Bureau naturally wasn't as simple as it seemed. From the basic information, not only was Zhou Ming ruthless, but he also didn't care about friendship. His background was indeed not good. He had a girlfriend in high school, and her family didn't despise him. They even paid for him to attend a famous school. In the end, after he made a comeback, he abandoned his girlfriend and found a beautiful one. Wei Gu looked at his girlfriend's photo. Indeed, she wasn't beautiful. She could only be considered ordinary and a little fat. It was likely that Zhou Ming's motives for being with her in the beginning weren't pure. Later, the girl's parents argued with Zhou Ming and were even injured by him. He really didn't care about their past relationship. Zhou Ming had done such things many times in secret. He was a person who only wanted to climb up. As Wei Gu was looking at the information, he suddenly heard the door to the archives open and a person walk in. Wei Gu was a very meticulous person. When he heard the footsteps, he realized that they were different from people who often came to the archive. He hurriedly looked up and saw who it was. He immediately stood up and saluted. "Director General, why are you here? If you need any files, just let me know. I'll send them to you." Shinyuchi smiled. "Don't be nervous. Show me Darkness Emissary's file. So it's already here. You're also interested. Not bad." With that said, Shinyuchi took out the file on the table and flipped through it. "I happened to see Darkness Emissary fight, so I took it out to take a look and organize it," Wei Gu said. Shinyuchi nodded slightly and didn't say a word. After reading a few pages, Shinyuchi asked casually, "You are a top graduate of Sunset College. You should know Zhouwen, right?" Wei Gu immediately answered, "Yes, Director General. Zhouwen is my junior. When he entered the college, I was already the president of the student council." "Do you know much about him?" Shinyuchi looked at the information and continued asking without raising his head. "Some. I originally wanted to pull him into the student council, but I didn't expect him to have no interest in it," Wei Gu said. Chapter 1053. After Shinyuchi left, the fear and trepidation on Wei Ji's face vanished. He sat back in his seat and picked up his teacup as he watched the livestream and slowly drank his tea. If one placed their ear close to Wei Ji's mouth, they could hear him muttering to himself, "From the looks of it, my chance is finally here. I just don't know if it's a blessing or a curse." The battle that they hadn't seen for more than a day was about to begin again. Many people were still looking forward to the outcome of this battle. The media had reported on Darkness Emissary's abilities. They were indeed very strong. In addition, Zhou Ming had recently been very close to a local wealthy family. Perhaps he had already obtained a mythical companion beast, so his strength was definitely not to be underestimated. As for Grim Demon's abilities, his human companion didn't fight with him. This was undoubtedly a huge disadvantage. Without humans participating in the battle, there were no mythical companion beasts to use. However, Grim Demon didn't care about this. He looked at Zhou Ming, who was wearing Darkness Emissary armor, and said condescendingly, "I'm in a good mood today. I'll let you live a little longer. I'll give you 2 moves first before killing you." When Zhouwen heard Grim Demon's words, he pressed his temples speechlessly and felt a headache. "This bastard. Doesn't he know that I'm stalling for time? If you want to kill him in 3 moves, how can I stall for time?" Zhouwen decided to call Grim Demon back to teach him a lesson after this battle ended. He wanted him to figure out the importance of the Holy Will. Such a speech made all the spectators in the Federation excited. "Isn't this Grim Demon too arrogant? Perhaps he really has the capital to be arrogant. After all, his origins are definitely not simple. He has so many mythical companion beasts behind him. You also said that it's behind him. Now, he's the only one fighting. Without a human accompanying him, he can't use any companion beast. Zhou Ming only sneered and didn't waste any time. He directly attacked. Darkness Emissary's strength was different from Night Thearka's. The moment Zhou Ming attacked, the Darkness Emissary armor on his body erupted with terrifying energy. The energy condensed in the air above his head and gradually transformed into a dark door. As time passed, the dark door became clearer and clearer. It emitted a terrifying dark aura, as though it was a door that led to hell. Anyone could tell that using such a skill required a large amount of time to condense. If it were a normal warring country, Darkness Emissary wouldn't have the time or opportunity to use such a skill. However, Grim Demon actually said that he would give him 2 moves. Zhou Ming took the opportunity to use such a skill. Normal people would know that this kind of skill, which required time to gather power, was usually very powerful. Grim Demon really reaped what he sowed. I'm afraid he's in a difficult position now. What a strong wave of essence energy. Even though it is not fully formed, it already possesses such a strong aura. This attack must be no small matter. After a few minutes, the dark door condensed above Zhou Ming's head. As you wish. Let my door of darkness bring you to the seamless abyss. Zhou Ming finally spoke. Almost at the same time, the door of darkness opened. In the dark world behind the gate, a strange suction force appeared, sucking everything in the vicinity into the dark gate. Zhou Ming was very confident in this move. He had once used this move to instantly kill a very powerful mythical creature. The only pity was that after using this move, the mythical creature's corpse would be obliterated, leaving nothing behind. Go to hell. This is the outcome of underestimating me. Zhou Ming sneered inwardly as he waited to enjoy Grim Demon's horrified expression when he was sucked into the dark world. But soon, the sneer on Zhou Ming's face turned into horror. Grim Demon floated in the air, motionless. He continued looking down at him as though the suction force in the dark door didn't exist. Impossible. The suction force of the dark world is enough to devour top mythical creatures. How can this be? Zhou Ming was alarmed and furious. He gathered his strength and pushed the door of darkness closer to Grim Demon. The closer the door of darkness was to Grim Demon, the greater the suction force of the dark world. However, when the door of darkness was almost in front of Grim Demon remained motionless. Stop dawdling. There's still one more move. Grim Demon casually waved his hand as demonic aura surged, shattering the door of darkness. However, at the same time the door of darkness shattered, Zhou Ming spat out blood as he fell backward. Almost without any hesitation, Zhou Ming immediately surrendered and left the arena. Instantly, all the spectators looked at Grim Demon in a daze. The shock was indescribable. Although Darkness Emissary wasn't very strong, he was ranked in the 20s. The attack he had condensed with all his might was casually dispersed by Grim Demon, scaring Zhou Ming into admitting defeat. Furthermore, anyone could tell that Grim Demon didn't plan on doing anything to Zhou Ming. It was an unintentional strike. This Grim Demon is so powerful, holy sh*t, he's too ferocious and ferocious. Who's his contractor? I really want to know. Are you serious? Is the difference between guardians that great? Zhou never expected Grim Demon to be so ferocious. With a casual wave, he destroyed Darkness Emissary's full-powered strike. The terror grade is indeed too powerful. Without the ability to transform into a terror form, even a mythical creature is just a salted fish. And I can't even be considered a salted fish now. How tragic. Zhou wished he could immediately advance to the mythical stage. However, Grim Demon was depressed. He remembered that the guardians of his era weren't that weak. He was originally prepared to start a massacre, but it ended before it even began. What depressed Grim Demon even more was that none of the people who had been constantly challenging him did so. The cube also lost its video broadcast because there were no guardians challenging it again. It returned to the rankings. On the rankings, Grim Demon was first while Yi was second. Everyone waited for a while, but no one challenged Grim Demon again. The strike from before had stunned all the guardians. Even if someone wanted to challenge him, they wouldn't act rashly like before. I never expected such an unexpected gain. Zhouwen was somewhat at a loss whether to laugh or cry when he saw Grim Demon return. He had previously wanted to reprimand Grim Demon, but he never expected Grim Demon's ruckus to give him more time. Perhaps the 48 hours would pass just like that. Well done, Zhouwen said as he patted Grim Demon's shoulder. On the internet, the scene of Grim Demon inadvertently defeating Darkness Emissary had already become a meme pack. Someone even added lines to the GIF. "Fight me. Where is he?" Chapter 1054. Grim Demon's name spread throughout the world. Many people were studying Grim Demon's abilities, but due to the lack of information, they failed to figure anything out. Zhouwen finally heaved a sigh of relief when no guardian continued challenging him. However, Grim Demon wasn't happy at all. He sat by the side dejectedly and drew on the ground with a small branch. As he drew, he muttered softly, "Why isn't anyone challenging? Why isn't anyone challenging?" Zhouwen pretended not to hear him. This fellow was locked in the sword by demonic neonate, so it was normal for him to come out to take a breather. "I hope no one will challenge me in the remaining 20 hours, Zhouwen prayed inwardly. Ice Maiden secretly sized up Grim Demon and was extremely shocked. Previously, she had imagined that Grim Demon could only be considered an accessory and that his abilities weren't very strong. Otherwise, how could he be willing to be a companion beast's guardian? But from the looks of it, Grim Demon was actually a genuine Terragrade existence. This shocked her even more. Even a companion beast's guardian is at the Terragrade? Ice Maiden had never heard of such a thing before, nor did she know how Zhouwen had done it. Time ticked by, but no one challenged Grim Demon again. When it was almost 48 hours, someone finally challenged Grim Demon again. However, the challenger was Yi. "Someone is challenging me." Grim Demon stood up excitedly and was about to rush into the cube. "After entering, immediately admit defeat and come out," Zhouwen said lightly. Grim Demon immediately deflated like a balloon as he looked at Zhouwen with a look of resentment. "Why? Don't you want to get first place?" "No, do as I say." Zhouwen wasn't completely uninterested in first place, but he still didn't know what the benefits and drawbacks of becoming first place were. Wang Mingyuan had once told him not to take first place, so Zhouwen still hadn't made up his mind. Furthermore, it wasn't that easy to obtain first place. He didn't know if there were any Terragrade guardians fighting now. However, Nightharch and the person from Forbidden City who hadn't fought were definitely at the Terragrade. In the final infinite battle, perhaps such a terrifying existence would take action. It probably wouldn't be easy for Zhongzia to maintain first place. "I guarantee that as long as you let me fight, I'll definitely obtain first place." Grim Demon looked at Zhouwen with anticipation. "Yes, I'll seek your help when I want to get first place." Zhouwen looked at Demonic Neonate. Demonic Neonate seemed to understand Zhouwen's intentions as she glanced at Grim Demon. Grim Demon immediately obediently walked towards the cube. Zhouwen exhorted again, "Pay attention when you go up. See if you will secretly send you a message." "Got it," Grim Demon replied listlessly as he entered the cube. "You didn't send any news. All he did was take back first place." If Zhouwen had known this would happen, he wouldn't have sent Grim Demon. It would have been more straightforward to give up. When the Federation citizens saw that the first position had changed and returned to Yi's hands, they naturally understood that they were in cahoots. Yi is already a guardian. It's impossible for Grim Demon to be his. Then, who does Grim Demon belong to? If we can find ya, we might know who Grim Demon belongs to. Which family are these people from? With so many mythical companion beasts, there's actually a guardian like ya and Grim Demon. It's too terrifying. Did you notice? Second place became Grim Demon, but after the mythical companion beast admitted defeat, it didn't obtain a ranking. This is too discriminatory. What can I do? In the future, it will be the era of guardians. Existences like ya and Grim Demon aren't something ordinary humans and companion beasts can deal with. Instead of thinking about this, why don't we think about where to contract a powerful guardian like Grim Demon? Zhou saw ya make a gesture before he disappeared. It was the gesture ya made every time they played cards together. Only then did Zhou feel relieved. Although he didn't know what ya had done, it looked like he had succeeded. He unsummoned Ice Maiden and Grim Demon and was about to find Li Xian and Feng Chuyen when his phone suddenly rang. It was a message from the Tharch. You contracted Grim Demon? The omniscient Tharch seemed to be puzzled for the first time. I have nothing to do with Grim Demon. Why do you ask? Zhou replied. It's fine. Will he cooperate with your companion beast to stall for time? If it's fine, will he give first place to ya? The Tharch said disdainfully. It's really fine. Zhou didn't wish to explain anything. The more he said, the more mistakes he would make. With the Thearcha's shrewdness, it was very easy for her to deduce something from his words. Although Grim Demon is very strong, contracting him is definitely not a good choice. The Tharch seemed to believe that Zhou was related to Grim Demon. Zhou was somewhat surprised. From the meaning behind the Thearcha's words, she seemed to know Grim Demon. Furthermore, Grim Demon was the first person the Tharch said was very strong. Is Grim Demon really that strong? Zhou had always felt that Grim Demon wasn't that strong because he was too cowardly in front of demonic neonate. However, Zhou now felt that what Grim Demon had said in the past wasn't purely bragging. Then who's the best choice? You? Zhou replied. You aren't qualified to contract me, the Tharch answered arrogantly. However, her words seemed to admit that she was also a guardian, but he couldn't be sure. It was also possible that the Tharch had deliberately said so to mislead him. However, if you do me a favor, I can consider giving you a chance. The Tharch sent another message. What chance? Zhou was alarmed, but he asked despite knowing the answer. A chance to contract the strongest guardian, the Tharch said. Don't tell me the strongest guardian you mentioned is yourself? Zhou replied. Guess. I'm not interested in guessing. Zhou didn't wish to play guessing games with her. He said bluntly, if the strongest guardian you mentioned is you, I can consider it. The Tharch didn't continue Zhou's topic. Let's continue talking after we obtain the dimensional wheel. If I can obtain the dimensional wheel, I'll be the Lord of Earth. What's there to discuss with you? Zhou probed. Don't tell me you really think that you're the Lord of Earth after getting first place? The Tharch replied. Didn't she say that the dimensional wheel will bestow immense power? With absolute power, one is naturally the Lord of Earth. Don't you also want the dimensional wheel? Zhou asked. Let's talk about it after you obtain the dimensional wheel, the Tharch replied before going offline. She didn't reply to Zhou's message. What is she trying to do? Zhou was somewhat puzzled. Chapter 1055. After Ye took the stage, the Guardians began to challenge him again. Just like before, Ye would accept anyone who challenged him. However, this time, Ye didn't immediately accept the challenges one after another. He would rest for some time in between to maintain his best condition. Zhou had also watched a few of Ye's battles. He was indeed very strong and couldn't find any weaknesses. Coupled with strange skills like the puppet avatar, he was almost invincible. One guardian after another was defeated by Ye, but there were still guardians constantly challenging him. Zhou didn't continue watching. The agreed time with Shin Yuqi was almost up. It was time to head to Sky Pass to find Shin Yuqi and head to the moon together. Li Xian and Feng Qian brought your back to the Wang family with Wang Lu. Zhouwen went to Sky Pass alone. Although mythical creatures could also fly into space, humans' physiques weren't good enough. It was safer to ride a rocket. Over the past few days, Shin Yuqi had been preparing for the rocket launch. In fact, as early as the incident on the moon, he had already started preparing. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to launch a manned rocket in such a short period of time. After arriving at Sky Pass, Shin Yuqi personally received Zhouwen. To his surprise, Wei Gu was by Shin Yuqi's side. "Isn't this guild leader Wei? Why are you here?" Zhouwen asked Wei Gu. Wei Gu smiled and said, "I'm now an inspector of the bureau. I originally wanted to inform you, but I didn't have a way to contact you. I couldn't contact you. You have to give me your phone number later. Since you are classmates, you should get to know each other better in the future." Shin Yuqi smiled and said, "In the future, little Wei will be in charge of your coordination with our bureau. Do you have any objections?" "No objections. President Wei is quite nice. He's a very capable person. Your bureau sure is filled with talents," Zhouwen said with a faint smile. "If you are interested, the bureau's door is always open for you," Shin Yuqi said. "Forget it. I can't be restrained. I'm different from others," Zhouwen said with a smile. Shin Yuqi stopped talking about this matter and changed the topic. "The rocket will be launched at 3:10 a.m., so there's still some time to prepare. You can also rest first. Little Wei, take care of Zhouwen." "Yes, Director General." Wei Gu saluted. After Shin Yuqi left, he came to a room. In the room, there was a surveillance video playing. The woman nicknamed Button was sitting there watching the surveillance. "What did you see?" Shin Yuqi sat down and asked. "This Wei Gu is quite a smooth talker." "He's born to gather intelligence," Button said. "He does have some talent. If I can make use of him, he might be able to achieve something in the future," Shin Yuqi said. "You don't trust him?" Button asked, sensing something. "Although according to the investigations, he doesn't have much of a relationship with Zhouwen, and there are even some small conflicts in secret, it's best to be careful," Shin Yuqi said. "So you got him to follow Zhouwen to test Wei Gu?" Button pondered. "Not entirely. It's better to have someone who knows Zhouwen follow him than someone who knows nothing about him," Shin Yuqi said. "That's right. Then what do you want me to do?" Button nodded and asked. "Stay behind for this trip to the moon," said Shin Yuqi. "If I'm not by your side, I'm afraid you'll be in danger," Button said. "I need you to do something. I can't let you be exposed in front of them." Shin Yuqi looked at Button and reached out to smooth the wrinkled clothes on her shoulder. "What you want me to do has something to do with Zhouwen?" Button asked. "No, it has nothing to do with him, but it's best not to let him see you." "Then what do you want me to do?" Button was somewhat surprised. She never expected her guess to be wrong. "If Wei Gu returns alive, I want you to think of a way to stay by his side," Shin Yuqi said indifferently. Button's body trembled unnoticeably, but she immediately returned to normal. "Why? Even if he has some relationship with Zhouwen, it's not worth wasting too much time and energy on him, right? This is my decision. You can choose to carry it out, or you can choose to return to where you came from," Shin Yuqi said as he took 2 steps back and sized up Button's flat clothes. "All right, I'll go, but at the very least, you have to tell me what I should investigate by his side, right?" Button said through gritted teeth. "There's no need to investigate anything. Don't do anything. You just need to gain his trust and wait for the day I need you," Shin Yuqi said calmly. Zhouwen didn't know why he had to launch the rocket at night. He was rather curious the first time he entered the rocket cabin. Although flying in the sky and burrowing into the ground was not a rare thing in this era, landing on the moon on a rocket still made the average person feel very nervous and excited. Apart from Zhouwen, there were 8 other members, including Shin Yuqi and Wei Gu. As for the 4 censors, Zhou didn't see any of them. The other 6 were unfamiliar faces. Everything was ready. The rocket flew into the sky after the countdown ended. Zhou was originally somewhat nervous and expectant, but he soon realized that the feeling of riding a rocket wasn't as magical as he imagined. It could even be said to be boring. This was because he couldn't see anything in the cabin. He couldn't experience the feeling of leaving Earth and watching it shrink bit by bit. I've been looking forward to it for so long. Zhou suddenly felt that it would be better to fly out of Earth on a companion beast after he advanced to the mythical stage. The rocket launch was very successful. Soon, they entered the predetermined orbit. Everything seemed to be developing in a good direction. However, everyone knew that their fate would be decided after they reached the moon. Up to now, they still hadn't figured out what the creature that destroyed the moon base was, nor did they discover any other dimensional creatures on the moon. More than 70 hours later, Zhou and company successfully landed on the moon, but they were still a distance away from the base. Apart from 2 people staying behind, Yuqi, Zhou and company had to head to the moon base. The landing this time was simple. They didn't bring any tools like lunar rovers. In fact, there was no need to use them. Mythical companion beasts were much more useful here than lunar rovers. Zhou originally imagined that he would see more stars on the moon, but now, he realized that what he could see was rather limited. It was far inferior to when he was on Earth. This was different from what he had imagined. President Wei, do you want to ride with me? Zhou summoned the great Might Vajra Bull and sent an invitation to Wei Gu. Wei Gu looked at Yuqi and saw him nod slightly. Only then did he smile and say into the communicator, "All right." Chapter 1056. Everyone was very nervous. This was because this was the moon after all. If anything happened, even if it was just damage to their spacesuits, they might die here. After arriving on the moon, they had already used radar to search, but they didn't discover anything abnormal. Zhou didn't dare be careless as he kept Truth Listener on, but here, Truth Listener's ability seemed to be affected. It wasn't as useful as it was on Earth. Everyone felt uneasy as they headed for the base. With a mythical companion beast as a mount, their speed was rather fast. The great Might Vajra Bull quickly adapted to the gravitational environment here and ran no slower than when it was on Earth. Yuqi also summoned a mythical companion beast. It was a giant rhinoceros. It was still more than enough for the others to sit on it. Although they had already seen the photos, they were still shocked by the scene in front of them when they arrived at the base. The base that was hundreds of meters long had been stepped into a pit by some creature. Most of the buildings had been flattened. Even if they weren't flattened, they had been stepped into the rock stratum. There was no need to look. It was impossible for anyone to be alive inside. However, there were no dimensional creatures around. After Yuqi communicated with everyone, he planned on heading straight to the primordial crystal mine, which was where the tree stump had been dug. When they arrived at the primordial crystal mine, they similarly didn't discover any dimensional creatures, nor did they see the astronauts who had previously been here. There were quite a number of primordial crystal ores scattered on the ground. In the pit that had been dug out, there were also quite a number of primordial crystals that shimmered with a charming luster. "It's gone," an inspector named Wang Qiyuan said as he stared at the mine. Everyone knew what he was talking about. The huge pit from before was where the tree stump was. As its roots were widely distributed, a huge pit had been dug out. However, there was only a huge pit left. The tree stump was gone. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts. Without the flower petals and the tree stump, this trip was equivalent to a wasted one. "What's that?" Zhou saw something strange as he looked at a corner of the mine. Everyone traced Zhou's gaze and saw something in a huge hole in the mine. However, their eyesight wasn't as strong as Zhou's, so they couldn't see what it was. "Zhou, can you see what it is?" Yuqi asked Zhou. "It looks like a person's back is facing us, but it doesn't look like a person," Zhou said after organizing his words. What do you mean it's like a human but not like a human? Wei Gu asked. I can't see his front, but his back looks like a human, and he's wearing ordinary human clothes. But this is the moon. How can humans sit here in ordinary clothes? Zhou said. Everyone used the telescope function of their helmets to take a closer look. Sure enough, they saw a figure sitting with his back facing the cave entrance. They could only see his back, and they couldn't be sure if it was a real person. Retreat. Let the companion beasts take a look first. Xin Yu also ordered his companion beasts to approach. Everyone was a little nervous as they watched the rhinoceros slowly approach, but the figure there did not move. The rhinoceros walked to the side of the figure, but the figure still did not move. Shin Yuqi frowned slightly and did not let the rhinoceros attack. Wang Qiyuan, go over and take a look. Wang Qiyuan responded and carefully looked over. Director General, it's a person. It's a dead person, but this place is a little strange. Wang Qiyuan said in surprise after circling around the person sitting there. It was obvious that he was very surprised, as though he had discovered something unbelievable. What strange? Shin Yuqi immediately asked. Fire. There's fire here. Wang Qiyuan's voice sounded from the communicator. Everyone was alarmed when they heard that. Logically speaking, it was impossible to ignite flames on the moon, but Wang Qiyuan actually said that there was fire there. It was indeed very strange. Do you know that person? Is he an astronaut from before? Shin Yuqi asked. I don't know him. He shouldn't be an astronaut from before. His looks are a little strange, and his clothes are very strange. Wang Qiyuan didn't seem to be able to accurately describe it. Monitor the surroundings. Report immediately if anything happens. We'll go over now. Shin Yuqi led everyone over. Zhou and company were very careful. There was actually a person sitting here without a spacesuit. This was very strange to begin with, giving them a very bad feeling. Everyone carefully came to the cave and indeed, they saw a dead person. His flesh and blood had already shriveled, and his face and clothes were covered in dust. He looked like he had died for a long time. He looked like someone from the East District, but his cheekbones were especially high and his eyes were deep. This was somewhat different from the people from the East District. His hair was actually quite intact. Under the dust, it could be seen that his hair should be black. The clothes on his body were very strange. They looked like a robe with long and wide sleeves. They didn't look like modern clothes. These weren't too strange. The strangest thing was that there was a small white jar in front of the person's toes. It was at most 20 centimeters in diameter. Inside the white jar, there was a small flame that looked like it had been ignited by a lighter. Although the flame was very small, it was very magical. This was the moon. There was no oxygen at all, but the small flame was burning steadily. This was very unusual. Everyone looked at Shin Yuqi. He was the leader of this operation. Now that they had encountered such a strange matter, they naturally needed him to make a decision. Don't touch him. Let's explore the surroundings first and see if there are any other discoveries, Shin Yuqi said as he sized up the white jar. Director General Shun, did you notice anything amiss? Zhou asked Shin Yuqi. Shin Yuqi said, have you seen such a jar before? No. Zhou had already taken a careful look, but he couldn't tell what the jar was made of. It looked a little like jade, but it wasn't that exquisite. Although it was said to be a ceramic product, it had a little more luster. If I'm not wrong, it should be bone pottery, a special type of pottery, Shin Yuqi said. Are bone pottery and bone porcelain the same thing? Zhou asked with a frown. He had heard of bone porcelain. Due to the addition of bone powder, the porcelain produced could be thinner and harder, and it would also be more beautiful. They're not the same. Bone porcelain uses bone powder as the raw material, but bone pottery doesn't mean that the pottery used bone powder as the raw material. Instead, it's pottery made from the blood sacrifice of corpses. It's also called blood pottery or corpse pottery. Shin Yuchi continued with a solemn expression. In the past, I saw an expert's collection. He collected bone pottery. According to him, bone pottery is usually used for sacrificial purposes in ancient times. Ordinary people don't have the chance to come into contact with such things. Chapter 1057. Were there humans in ancient times who could go to the moon to offer sacrifices? Zhouwen asked as he looked at the person's corpse. I don't know. If you had asked me this question in the past, the answer would definitely be no. But from the looks of it now, even without rockets and other equipment, humans might still have the ability to land on the moon. Shin-Yuchi shook his head slightly. Under Shin-Yuchi's command, everyone left the cave and continued searching for useful clues nearby. Among the people from the bureau, there were true investigation experts who were much more professional than Zhouwen. Therefore, Zhouwen didn't focus his energy on investigations. He slowly walked on the moon, and his life soul had already switched to glimmer. He could clearly sense that the glimmer life soul was growing, but this growth wasn't enough for it to break through to a perfect body. Could it be that I have to use Glimmer's interstellar teleportation ability to advance to a perfect body? Zhouwen now roughly understood how Glimmer could advance. Instead, he calmed down. Now, the Glimmer life soul actually possessed the power to advance. However, because he had never used Glimmer's ability, he was unable to break through the final stage. Now, Zhouwen only needed to use interstellar teleportation once to advance to perfection. If I use Glimmer to teleport back to Earth now, I should be able to advance to a perfect body. Zhouwen could sense that there was no mistake this time. Zhouwen planned on teleporting back to Earth after the matters on the moon were over and allowing Glimmer to advance to a perfect body. Shin-Yuchi and company had been investigating and had discovered many clues. According to the clues they had discovered, the astronauts had been attacked by an unknown creature when they dug out the tree stump. Furthermore, according to the measurements of the mine pit, they discovered that there should be a natural pit under the original tree stump. The creature that attacked the astronauts was likely hiding in that natural pit. Director General, there's something very strange, Wang Qiyuan said as he surveyed. Speak. Shin-Yuchi and company looked at Wang Qiyuan. There were no astronaut corpses found at the scene, nor were there any signs of a fight. This means that the dimensional creature is extremely powerful. It can directly devour them or forcefully detain them. But look at these footprints. These footprints belong to that mythical companion beast. These belong to the astronaut. Wang Qiyuan pointed at the footprints and analyzed. If we encounter a powerful dimensional creature, even if we are quickly devoured after discovering it, we will subconsciously retreat. Even if we don't have the time to take a step forward, the center of gravity of our feet will shift. This should be obvious from the changes in the depth of the footprint. But from the looks of it now, there are no signs of such a thing at all. It's as if they didn't see a terrifying creature at all and were completely unprepared before they were devoured. Everyone carefully looked at the footprints on the ground and found that it was indeed so. What do you think of this situation? Shin-Yuchi asked Wang Qiyuan. I'm certain that they didn't see the dimensional creature. It might be that the dimensional creature has the ability to turn invisible, or it might be hiding somewhere and launching an attack while they were off guard. Wang Qiyuan scanned his surroundings. If that thing has the ability to turn invisible, then we have to be careful. Perhaps it's somewhere nearby and is staring at us. Everyone was alarmed. Zhouwen's reaction was the greatest. This was because he knew that perhaps the dimensional creature wasn't invisible. It was just that they couldn't see it because its life form was too high level. In other words, the dimensional creature might be a terragrade existence. Is there really a terragrade big fellow hiding on the moon? Zhouwen was alarmed and puzzled. He and Truth Listener scanned their surroundings at the same time, but they didn't discover anything. However, this made them even more terrified. Zhouwen, what do you think? Shin Yuchi pondered for a moment before his gaze landed on Zhou. I think it's best we leave this place as soon as possible. Zhou was originally interested in the petals and tree stump, but now that those things were gone, there might be terror creatures here. Furthermore, in such an environment, it wasn't suitable for them to continue taking risks. Let's go back first. Just as Shin Yuchi gave the order, he suddenly heard a scream. The scream from the communicator was very short. It was as though someone had just begun to shout when someone had strangled his throat. Everyone was alarmed as they looked around, but they didn't discover anything. They didn't discover any dimensional creatures, blood, or even injuries. However, there was one missing person among them. A living person had vanished from their side. Lu Dong. Lu Dong. Everyone felt their souls leave their bodies. As Shin Yuchi summoned his companion beast to guard the area, he shouted for the inspector who had vanished. No one returned. The communicator was terrifyingly quiet, as though the inspector had been wiped from the world. Zhou didn't hesitate to release Ice Maiden. At that moment, he was almost certain that the dimensional creature on the moon was most likely a terregrade existence. Shin Yuchi and company, who were feeling nervous, were given a fright when they suddenly saw a woman beside Zhou. However, from Zhou's appearance, they imagined that the woman was his companion beast, but her aura didn't seem right. At this moment, no one was in the mood to investigate whether the woman was a companion beast or something else. Shin Yuchi immediately ordered them to evacuate. It's best you don't go over. However, Zhou stood there without moving because Ice Maiden's eyes were looking in the direction of their retreat with a rather solemn expression. What did you discover? Wei Gu stopped and asked Zhou. That thing should be over there, Zhou said as he looked in the direction Ice Maiden was looking. Shin Yuchi and company hurriedly retreated. Shin Yuchi looked at Zhou and asked, You can see it? I can't, but she can. Zhou looked at Ice Maiden and asked, How is it? What is it? Are you confident? It's very troublesome. Even if I can win, I'm afraid I won't be able to protect you, Ice Maiden said. Is it really at the terregrade? Zhou no longer had any doubts. To make Ice Maiden say such words, it was undoubtedly at the terregrade. Director General Shin, it looks like we can only flee separately. Zhou wanted to summon the Earth Elemental Beast and planned on using its Earth Escape ability to escape. Whoever moves first will become its target, the Ice Maiden said again. Upon hearing Ice Maiden's words, Zhou had no choice but to give up on summoning the Earth Elemental Beast and stand there motionless. Zhou didn't move, but someone refused to believe it. An inspector summoned an epic flying companion beast and wanted to use its strength to escape in another direction. Chapter 1058. However, just as he flew up, he suddenly seemed to be devoured by an invisible monster. Both he and his companion beasts vanished. Didn't you say that the dimensional creature is over there? Wang Chuyuan said in horror. It's still there, Ice Maiden said expressionlessly. Shin Yuchi's expression changed. He suddenly turned around and ran. At the same time, he ordered, Follow me. Wang Chuyuan didn't hesitate as he followed Shin Yuchi. Wei Gu followed as well. Zhou thought for a moment before following. The few of them jumped into the mine. Shin Yuchi led the way and rushed towards the dead person they had previously discovered. By the time they ran to the side of the dead person, they were already covered in cold sweat. Thankfully, they had made the right bet. The invisible dimensional creature didn't attack them. Director General, how do we leave now? Wang Chuyuan asked Shin Yuchi. We can't leave now. Shin Yuchi looked at the dead person and the bone pottery jar in front of him and said, Perhaps our chance of survival lies here. Zhou had to admit that Shin Yuchi was indeed the head of the bureau. He was bold and meticulous, and his mind worked extremely quickly. All the creatures in the vicinity had been devoured, but the dead person wasn't affected at all. Therefore, Shin Yuchi had taken a gamble. From the looks of it, he had indeed won the gamble. At the very least, the terror creature didn't immediately attack them or chase after them. What's this? Ice Maiden also retreated. She didn't attack the terror creature. From the looks of it, she wasn't confident. Otherwise, she would have attacked directly instead of retreating. I don't know. It's a dead person here to begin with, Zhou said. That creature seems to be afraid of something here. It didn't approach, Ice Maiden said as she looked into the distance. From the looks of it, my guess should be right. Perhaps something here can help us escape. Shin Yuchi's gaze landed on the bone pottery jar. Of the things here, the bone pottery jar was naturally the most magical. The tiny flame in the jar was still burning as though it wasn't affected by any external forces. If there was anything here that could affect the terror creature, it was most likely it. Zhou and company stared at the bone pottery jar, but no one took it. Ice Maiden didn't know what it was as she constantly sized up the bone pottery jar and the dead person. Director General, the oxygen we brought is limited. We have to make a decision early, Wang Qiyuan said as he stared at the bone pottery jar. Zhou, what do you think? Shin Yuchi didn't immediately decide. Instead, he looked at Zhou. This thing is a little odd. It's best not to touch it, Zhou said. Shin Yuchi clearly didn't want to take the risk and wanted Zhou to give it a try. The more powerful something was, the more dangerous it was. Before figuring out what it was, Zhou wasn't willing to come into contact with it. After all, it might be something that could intimidate terror creatures. Even terror creatures were afraid of it. Epic humans might be courting death if they came into contact with it. Now that we're on the same boat, we should work together to overcome this crisis. Otherwise, all of us might die here. Shin Yuchi paused and said, Why don't we draw lots together and choose one person to touch the bone pottery jar? What do you think? If you want to choose, you can choose yourselves. There's no need to count me in, Zhou said. Wang Qiyuan frowned and said, Why can't we count you in? Should we take the risk and let you reap the benefits? Zhou shook his head and said, I don't need to reap the benefits because I'm confident that I can escape back to Earth alive. Therefore, I don't need to take the risk. Wang Qiyuan opened his mouth, but he couldn't say a word. His expression didn't look good. Zhou was indeed qualified to say such words. After all, the Ice Maiden of unknown origins was the only existence among them who could see the dimensional creature. Furthermore, she was unscathed despite facing it. Shin Yuchi nodded. That's right. Zhou, you aren't from our bureau. There's no need for you to take the risk with us. In that case, let's draw lots. Director General, there's no need to draw lots. Let me give it a try, Wei Gu suddenly said. Although I'm the Bureau's Director General, I don't have the right to let my subordinates risk their lives. Let's draw lots, Shin Yuchi said. Ever since the day I joined the Bureau, I've been prepared to risk my life, Wei Gu said calmly. I'm the weakest person here. The chances of me surviving are the lowest. Director General, please allow me to do something within my capabilities for the Bureau. If I'm lucky enough to survive, I hope you can remember some of the credit I've earned. If I die, there's no need to mention anything else. This, Shin Yuchi pondered. Director General, please grant my wish, Wei Gu said with a bow. Forget it. If you have any unfulfilled wishes, I'll definitely help you complete them if you're lucky enough to escape, Shin Yuchi said as he swept a glance at Zhou from the corner of his eye. At this moment, Shin Yuchi didn't forget to observe Zhou reaction. However, Zhou stood there expressionlessly. This was because before Wei Gu spoke, he had secretly made a gesture that only Zhou could see, telling him not to act rashly. Thank you for granting my wish, Director General. If I die here, I hope you can take care of my family when you return. I'll be extremely grateful, Wei Gu said. Don't worry. Our Bureau will definitely not mistreat meritorious officials. If anything happens to you, the Bureau will definitely ensure that your family doesn't have to worry about food and clothing, Shin Yuchi said seriously. Thank you, Director General. I'm relieved. With that said, Wei Gu walked towards the bone pottery jar. He walked to the side of the jar and slowly squatted down to carefully size up the bone pottery jar. President Wei shouldn't be someone who will sacrifice himself for the bureau. Zhou Wen was somewhat worried for Wei Gu, but the hand gesture Wei Gu had secretly made was telling him that he could handle it. Xin Yuqi and Wang Qiuan looked at Wei Gu nervously. Xin Yuqi didn't forget to observe Zhou Wen. Seeing that Zhou Wen was only watching coldly without any reaction, his doubts about Wei Gu were basically gone. Wei Gu sized it up for a while, but he didn't seem to discover anything. Finally, he gritted his teeth and extended his hands towards the bone pottery jar, hoping to pick it up. If that dimensional creature was really afraid of the bone pottery jar, as long as he held it, he could return to the spacecraft and leave the moon. The moment Wei Gu held the bone pottery with both hands, the tiny flame inside suddenly spewed out, transforming into a terrifying flame that soared into the sky. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.